Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the March 2022 Committee on Accreditation meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Amos.
Here, present.
Jomlene Belatayo.
Here.
Kathy Crashaw.
Here.
Katrina Chakowski.
Here.
Cheryl Forbes.
Here.
Bob Fraley.
Here.
Mike Hillis.
Here.
Lynn Larson. Marty Martinez.
Here.
Jason Lee.
Here.
Gerard Morrison.
Yeah.
Kevin Taylor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. And again, a good morning, everybody. Once again, good to see you all in our respective regions. Hope you're having a good day on St. Patrick's here. And if you're not wearing green, we welcome you. Those who are attending online, thank you for joining us as well. Just let's go over the logistics just for a little bit. This is a reminder that once again, we are conducting this meeting entirely virtually. This is the last virtual meeting. From this point forward, we'll be discussing later on that starting in May, meeting will be in person. So most staff members are participating from their own locale, and a few may be in the commission office. The Zoom link has been made available to the public. Regarding Zoom identification, we'd like to ask that everyone check their Zoom ID and make sure it contains your first and last name accurately, so we're able to call on you appropriately, and also so that we get all names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on the three dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. When it is time to take up an item, we'll need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and make sure they can see and hear the committee and that we can see and hear them in return. Participants will need to turn on their camera and also unmute their microphone. Regarding microphones, members of the committee, we're going to mute your microphones to eliminate any background noise we may get in the way of others hearing what is being said by the speakers. We ask that when you speak, you unmute yourself, but then please, once you're done speaking, please go back to being muted. Regarding commenting or asking questions, committee members, if you wish to make a comment, as a reminder, please either physically raise your hand on camera or use the raise hand feature, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're unable to do either of these options, you can also send a message in the chat feature in order to signal that you have a question or a comment. Several of us will be looking for those with comments or questions in the chat and the raised hands, but please make sure we don't miss you if you have something to say. Because we are a public body and must conduct our business in the public forum, we ask that you please do not use the chat feature to make substantive comments or have discussions on any items. Public attendees of this meeting cannot see the chat box, and those who view the video archive of this meeting will not have access to any conversations within the chat. Regarding motions and roll call vote, when you make your motions, please state the motion in full so that there's no question what the motion is. All votes will be conducted via roll call. Just before the vote, we'll remind everyone to make sure you are unmuted so that we don't miss anyone's vote. If you're unable to respond via video or audio, you may make your own vote known through the chat. The secretary will have to read your name and your vote when she gets to that part of the roll call vote to make sure it's an official part of the record and to make sure the public knows what the vote is. Because this can be quite cumbersome, we like to leave that as a last option. And if you need to leave the meeting for any period of time, please raise your hand and let us know so we are assured that we have a quorum at all times, and also so the record can be accurate. Also, please do the same once you return to the meeting. Regarding public comment, members of the public wishing to provide public comment during the discussion of an agenda item will be given the opportunity to speak during the public comment period for each item and then at the end of the meeting. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and also ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator as explained below. So for participants via Zoom webcast, individuals who join the meeting via the Zoom webcast will need to click on the raise hand icon to indicate that you'd like to speak on the item. Staff will notify the individual when it is their turn to speak by calling their Zoom ID. That's the name used by the member of the public when logging into the meeting. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. The Zoom ID name used by the member of the public to join the Zoom meeting will be displayed to the public when the individual provides their public comment. For those participating via teleconference, individuals who join the meeting via the U.S. toll-free number will need to press *9 on their phone to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on the item. The meeting moderator will notify the individual it is their turn to speak by calling the last 4 digits of their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. There's also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and after the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commission's website. Do any committee members have any questions about these protocols? All right, seeing none, we're moving on to item 2. Item 2 is the approval of the March 2022 agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the March 2022 meeting? And just remember to unmute your microphone when speaking. I see, looks like it's so moved by Member Tchaikovsky. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Member Taylor. We'll now do a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almond. Tomalene Bulatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Chakowski.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 3. Item 3 is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 2022 meeting? As a reminder, it'd be appropriate for any committee member who was not in attendance at that meeting to abstain. First, we
Move
should
to
provide
approve the
opportunity
minutes.
for the public. Actually, before we do that, let's see if there's any member of the public who wish to offer any comment on this.
Seeing no comments, Bob.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, is there a motion, please?
Move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you, Member Morrison. Is there a second?
Second.
I saw several hands. I saw Member Balatayo, so second by Member Balatayo. Will the secretary, oh, actually, before we do that, are any of the corrections or any changes to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, let's do a roll call vote.
Cynthia Almond.
Aye.
Tomalene Bulatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Chakowski.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
That motion carries. And just as a reminder, committee members, if you could be sure that you're muted when you're not speaking, just so to have any bleed through of background conversations. All right, moving on to item 4. Item 4 is the co-chair members report. Any members have anything they wish to share with the committee? Member Tchaikovsky.
Well, just an update from the field and the classroom. There's obviously renewed enthusiasm for the potential removal of a mask mandate and/or districts being granted the authority to decide how to proceed with keeping everybody safe at the local level. A lot of students are keen to keep their masks on. They've prioritized safety over other things. And as we move into spring, I have been reminded of the imperative to accelerate learning for the kids that remain in our schools who are not graduating, because the last couple of years have been tough for them, and there is demonstrated needs out there, at least at the secondary level, not least with literacy. There's a lot that's been written about that. So obviously the imperative remains for us to encourage all sectors of our system to support students, not in the way of remediation necessarily, but in terms of accelerating skills that they might need to build with more in-person experiences. So obviously it's a lot easier to learn to read when you can see someone's lips moving, right, than when you can't. So I'm looking forward to that progress ahead.
That's great news. Thanks for sharing that, Katrina. Completely agree. Anybody else have any comments or information they wish to share? I'd like to acknowledge Member Larson, who's now joined us. So we'll add her to our list of attendees. Okay, seeing no one else to report, we'll move on to item 5. Item 5 is staff reports. They usually have some updates, so we'll turn this over to Ms. Hickey, Ms. Sullivan. Ms. Hickey, will you please begin?
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Just a few things because we met in February, so we don't have a really long list, but just a couple of things. As Bob mentioned, our next meeting will be in person. The law that allowed us to meet virtually, the expiration date on that was March 31st. So everything after March 31st is back to meeting in person. We are still working on what that means. We do know that what it means for the members is that it's in person. There's also been other legislation introduced that we're kind of watching to see how that plays into this whole thing. So you never know what's going to happen. But basically, the way we're thinking about it and planning for it is that you all will be in person. Some staff will probably be in person, like me. Not all staff will be in person because we're still allowing our own staff to, join virtually. And then institutions may, of course, still join virtually. But the onus is really on the members. Our commission will be meeting in person in April. So we'll know a lot more as we kind of roll this out. Erin, did you want to mention anything about travel with these folks? And I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Yeah. So, and I'm glad you mentioned the April meeting. I think Cheryl and I are probably looking forward to the April commission meeting to learn from that. So we should have some pretty good footing by the time you all come back for your meeting in May. We are proceeding with getting a hotel contract. So for those of you who are new, and even for those of you who did this before, it's been 2 years. The way that we used to work things in the past was we would get a contract with a local hotel. We are bound by state contracting rules, but Jamal Harbison is the lead in our travel office, and he will be taking care of that. So he's looking into that now. We will communicate to you what that looks like. Michelle, I think it is planning to send an email out to try to get kind of a head count of who has to come in the night before, things like that. But so look for some emails from me, from Michelle, maybe from Jamal. And I am hopeful that I will be able to carve out some time also, either myself or Jamal, to talk to you all about making any of you that have to fly. You can make those travel arrangements through the travel store. And again, those of you who are new, haven't done that before, and even those of you who've done it, it's been a couple of years. So we'll support you in walking you through that process.
Exactly. Okay, we'll try to keep you up to date as much as we possibly can as we know what's happening. But fortunately, this time the commission gets to try it first. I kind of like that approach.
Cheryl?
Go ahead.
I just see committee member Hillis has his hand up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just really quickly, so that the first meeting, if it's a 2-day meeting, that would start at 8:30. Is that probably?
I haven't quite worked that out yet. I think typically what we've done is gone the full day the first day and a half a day the second day. And especially because if it's a Thursday, Friday, which I don't even know if it is, so somebody might look that up. I know travel back on Fridays is typical. So we try to get you out the door and back there. So, but yeah, it will probably start first thing in the morning, either 8:30 or 9.
Yeah, I think it was 9. We might have to look back at some old, we used to try to start a little bit later so that some folks could fly in that morning.
Mhm.
We used to start at 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll start
I think it was 9.
and people
9
like,
and then 8:30 on the second.
Yeah.
on the second day.
okay,
Great.
that makes sense. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
It's been-
But we also know we have a couple of people who are driving, like Commissioner Leah, that you'll be driving from Sonoma or that area, so we want to make it late enough that you can kind of get here. Great. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention is we do have a commission meeting coming up in April, and we have a lot of initial institutional approvals on that meeting, just to let you know that things have been moving pretty hot and heavy on that. So we have 7 institutions going through one of the many stages of initial institutional approval. And a couple of them are the site visits that you already saw that are now going before the commission for their final approval. So thank you for that. And Aaron is refining stage 5, and I'll let you talk about that in a second on that with the team. I wanted to mention a couple of things that the commission staff has been working on, focusing a lot of attention on. And one of those areas is the new PK3 credential. This would be the ECE specialist credential that currently the only ECE specialist credential that even exists is at Fresno State. And you'll see it's on your agenda for later to go inactive. But this credential is being repurposed and rethought of. We have a work group working on this credential in order to help with the real push around TK and around making the connection with preschool through 3rd grade more coherent. So there is a lot happening that's a sort of on a fast track because we expect to need tens of thousands of new teachers in that early education space. So I think they estimated 9 to 10,000 new teachers. So there's a real push or an effort to get that credential kind of repurposed and get all the pieces in place to make that work. We have a TPE survey that's been out, and for the TPEs for that repurposed credential, we have literally hundreds of responses. I think the last time I heard it was like 700 or 800 people have responded to that. So it's very encouraging that we're able to do that. There's also a set of standards that we have been working on. Our ECE folks have been working on, and we've been kind of on the side trying to kind of make sure that the standard language is like the rest of our standards, and then requirements as well. So there is an April agenda item where this will be presented at the commission meeting for information, and then come back later this summer, hopefully even in June for action, because there's a lot of pieces that need to go in place. There needs to be regulations put in place. There needs to be some changes. So that is a major focus right now. And I see a hand. Committee
Yeah,
member.
Cheryl, I'm kind of curious. What's the purpose of that credential? Because I know it sounds like people can also have the multiple subjects plus additional coursework that may not necessarily be an early childhood credential. And so I'm kind of curious how you're differentiating that.
Yeah, there is. It's pretty complicated, and I'm probably not the right person to talk to about this. But there is there is the multiple ways to get credentialed to teach in that space. So the multiple subject credential, as you know, it can teach from TK through 12th grade. But and this is an effort to implement the early learning blueprint that was created a couple of years ago that really wanted to focus on a real concentration on making sure those early years were much more coherent, I guess the word is. And so they have really been trying to make the alignment stronger from preschool all the way through 3rd grade. And it will be interesting because there's multiple entry points. And honestly, there's you'll see an item in June that probably will bring back some of that. Here's how they're conceptualizing it. So if you are a child development permit holder, how would you get credentialed? If you are a multiple subject credential, you're already able to teach that, but maybe you want to teach preschool. So there are multiple entry points with very, at this point, some proposals as to what those requirements would be for each one of those types of folks. It is complicated. It's a bit confusing because there are lots of ways to think about this, but this group is doing really amazing work. So Erin, do you want to add anything? Erin has historically been our ECE person for a while. So I know, Erin, you have lots to say on this.
No, that was a while ago. So Phyllis Jacobson has been really spearheading this ECE work for the last at least 3 years.
And it's moving really quickly now. I mean, we started working with a child development permit advisory panel back in 2014, 15, I think. But with this new governor, with the blueprint that Cheryl mentioned, with the money that California now is apparently sort of flush with, there has been a really sort of fast and furious push to get universal preschool in place, to make sure that we've got enough credentialed teachers for all of that, to create some bridges between the child development permit and a full credential, whether that's this PK through 3 or the multiple subject. So there are a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of people working really hard on this right now. And the agenda items, when they come forward, are always mega items because there's a lot going on. There's standards being developed, there's performance expectations being developed, there's potentially a performance assessment being developed. So if you do go open one of those items, bring a cup of coffee, pop some popcorn, whatever, and get ready to really dig in, because they're really meaty items, but there's a lot of rich work going on in this space right now.
And as you can imagine, there's lots of like mini policy questions, like, should there be an intern pathway to this credential? And if so, what would that take? Do we need to change ed code? Do we need to change regs? So there's a lot of these micro issues that, to make this equal to all the other credentials, and how would those things play out? So,
well, and it's been a long time since we developed a new credential. We've added authorizations, we've added pathways, we've done a lot of work, but it's been a long time since we created a brand new credential. So that sort of soup to nuts work process has been an experience, I think, for all of us, but it's a lot.
And I see committee member Liam.
Yeah, thank you. Let me lower my hand now. So I appreciate all of this work that's being done behind the ECE credential, and I'm hoping that there just needs to be some flexibility around some pathways, different pathways. An intern credential, I think, is going to be a crucial part of that. Just looking at the staffing issues we're facing already around the state, we're all for you. Absolutely think that universal TK is the right move for kids in California, but we just need to know that districts are already facing some very difficult time staffing as it is. And so anything we can do, any flexibility or extension of timelines or whatever that looks like, needs to be part of the conversation as we move forward, so that we're not just adding one more layer of vacancies to districts that are struggling.
Absolutely. The other piece of this is our certification division has been looking at, those other options, like local assignment option, while we ramp up, so they're looking at that aspect of it. What's the short-term solutions maybe for some employers versus, the creation of a new credential and getting folks that way. Oh, Bob, you're on mute. But I see you.
I got it. Yeah. Member Morrison had his hand up, and also co-chair Martinez did it. But let's start with Member Morrison.
Cheryl, am I right in thinking, though, that the people who are teaching those classes now with the credentials that they have, that they will be grandfathered in and they won't have to get this new credential?
They do not have to get the new credential. They will always be able to teach TK. There's a complicating thing in this whole thing, and that has to do with apportionment dollars that I am not qualified to talk about, so I'm not going to say too much, but it has to do with the 24 unit. There's a 24 unit requirement around child development type courses. And that has kind of complicated this whole issue, because it's not a credentialing requirement, but it is a requirement to teach TK for the school to get the apportionment money for that class. So they're trying to figure that out as well, and how that fits into this new credential. But yes, no, current teachers will not be impacted.
Okay. Co-chair Martinez, you have a comment?
I was just going to kind of build on what Member Lee had shared. That it's really an opportunity when we think about it. So, knowing the challenge it will create for districts and LEAs, but also a chance to bring the system together. When we have such a disparate system of childcare, early childcare providers, preparation programs. And so one thing that I'm really optimistic about is I'm seeing much more collaboration between IHEs, LEAs, really looking at how do we create a system that connects all of that and doesn't leave those out that are already doing the childcare that may not have the credentials, et cetera. So it is, I think, Cheryl, you kept saying it's, I forget what you said, maybe it's going to be interesting. So it is, because it's very complex and lots of moving parts, but it's also a great opportunity to make a stronger system for California.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're interested in this item, watch the commission meeting and that particular item. So I think that will be a nice long item with lots of good detail. So, and some decisions that still need to be made. So great. Okay, so no more questions on that one, right?
No.
Just make sure before I move on. The other thing I want to mention was that the commission at its last meeting adopted, you know that we have new ed specialist standards and all the programs have been moving towards the new ed specialist standards. I think I reported at the last COA meeting that our staff had monitored and oversaw the review of the transition plans for ed specialists. And so that work is moving forward. The commission adopted a 1 TPA policy, which basically said if a candidate is seeking 2 credentials, that they would only need to take one TPA, so that they would not have to take multiple. And so we're working on developing regulations for that. We think that will be on the April meeting as well, but we're still working on it. And then I wanted to mention, and I know Roxanne is on here, so Roxanne may have more to say on this, but SB 488 was the bill that would eventually eliminate RECA and replace it with a performance assessment by 2025. There are multiple, this is a complicated bill. There are multiple things that the commission has to do in this bill, and some of it is pretty quick. So before September 1st of this year, yes, September 1st of this year, we have to do a review of our current standards and to ensure there are certain concepts in our standards in accordance with the law, the 488. So we need to do that work with some experts in the field, and we're still developing that process at the moment. There are a couple of deadlines in the bill. There's another 2024 deadline in which we have to ensure that the standards have particular concepts in them. And then before the 2025 date, when we have a performance assessment, obviously we have to develop the performance assessment in all of this period of time. But before we actually launch the performance assessment, the commission has to certify, and that's the word that's used in the bill. We have to certify that all programs have the required elements in it from the SB 488. So things like direct systematic instruction, there's very specific language in 488 we have to look at. So we are going to be developing, what does that look like? That will be outside of the accreditation system, or I shouldn't say outside, it's in addition to the accreditation system. And it will mean that we have to look at every single program when it comes to the teaching of literacy and reading. And I'm going to ask Roxanne, do you want to say something more on that? Roxanne has been working really hard on this bill, or on the implementation of this bill. And I don't know if she has more to add at this point. I think I saw her on here.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
I would just add that there was an agenda item that I would encourage you to look at if you have interest in this bill. It was item 3C at our last commission meeting. And it covered the primary responsibilities that the commission has related to SB 488 and its implementation. But more helpful than even that in that particular item was that we have a draft resource guide that was developed in conjunction with one of our experts, Nancy Brynelson. And it takes the ELA-ELD framework and the dyslexia guidelines that are required by the bill to be incorporated. And it takes several other state-approved documents, and it creates a resource guide that covers several literacy topics, and with elements under each one. It's incredibly detailed, and it has extremely detailed references for each element down to the page number of that document, that state document. So I would encourage you to take a look at that resource guide. That will be going out also for a formal field review shortly. And yeah, just what Cheryl said, we have a very tight timeline with a lot of activities that need to occur. So not this next commission meeting, but the following one, you'll start seeing more items on this as we move forward. And that's it.
Right. And there's great interest in this item. So we'll be working really hard with everyone in the field that is interested in this topic. So I think that the resource guide that Nancy helped develop is just really incredible, because what she, as Roxanne said, she took not only the state standards and the frameworks, but all of the other documents that are mentioned and talked about, and that teachers must know about, the dyslexia guidelines, there's a wide variety of things. And so she pulled all of that together in one place. It's really an amazing accomplishment. And Nancy, for those of you who may or may not know, she was the at the CSU, what was the name of that? Center for Writing. Is that what it was called? Roxanne, I'm sure I get the name wrong.
Our Center Advancement of Reading and Writing, I think.
Reading and Writing at Cal State University. So yeah, so we're really grateful to have Nancy helping us out on this. Any questions on that?
Member Tchaikovsky did have her hand up.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I've worked with Nancy and she's amazing. So I can imagine what this document looks like. She headed up the whole expository reading and writing curriculum for the CSU, and it was continued through various grant efforts. So the fact that she is spearheading kind of like the blueprint for this performance assessment seems like a really great idea to me. And having managed an induction program for a while, I can also say that a more timely, relevant literacy assessment to replace RECA is super needed. It's a huge hurdle in the way of students who want to serve kids with special needs. So amen. The sooner you can get that going, the more of these highly qualified teachers will have, and exactly to serve the population that needs the most. So that's 2 for 2 from my angle. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's real important work. So that's it for me. Erin, I'm sure you have more to say about all sorts of things that we're working on in terms of program assessment or program review and common standards review and all of that.
Right. So, the wheels keep turning on the accreditation machine, thank God, right? Heaven forbid anything come to any kind of a halt. But, I mentioned at the last meeting, common standard submissions were due soon. So those were due. They've come in for the most part, except for one. We're working with that institution. You'll hear about that in Michelle's report later. Those sessions are scheduled. We had our first session last Friday and our second session this Tuesday. So things are moving forward, and that's fantastic. We are already starting to look at next year and at 2 years out. So I'm starting to develop a calendar of potential site visit dates for the 23-24 site visits, so we can get those in a survey to get people signed up for program review for next fall. So this time of year is always interesting because I have my head in 3 or 4 accreditation years. But things are moving, things are going great. And I just want to, take a moment here to publicly thank everyone who volunteers to participate in program review, common standards review, site visits. It's just things are tight for everyone, and the fact that everyone is able to keep showing up for us is just is wonderful, and I want to appreciate everyone for that. I also want to take an opportunity to thank Sarah Solari. On February 1st, our ledge person in our Office of Governmental Relations moved on to a position with LA Unified, which was a fantastic step for him, but unfortunately it left us without a ledge person. And because I did it 10 years ago, it seemed like a good idea for for Executive Director Sandy to ask me to fill in for a little while that person was coming So I had to step away from some of my duties as an administrator, and Sarah Solari Colombini stepped in to come alongside Cheryl, so Cheryl would still have her support and the support that is needed to put these agendas together to support consultants when they're on site visits. So very grateful for that. Because I've been in that role, I can tell you that there are some interesting bills moving through the legislature right now. I don't want to get this committee ahead of the commission because the commission will be getting a ledge update at its April meeting. But you might want to look for that, that item when it's posted to the commission. It may post a little bit later because legislation's always, it's ever changing. We have hearings between now and the commission meeting, and I want to be able to give the commissioners the most up-to-date version of what's going on right now. But a lot of bills trying to address substitute teacher shortages, trying to address assignment of those substitute teachers in classrooms, bills with more grants. There's still money, and the legislature would still like to see some of that go to teacher programs, teacher preparation programs. There's a bill for increasing diversity in faculty. So those of you at your higher eds might be interested in that. That's going to be a grant program. A lot of bills. Some just got introduced that will be of great interest to the commission and to this body as well. And again, I don't want to lead you down a pathway of a deep conversation before the commissioners have one. But I just want to acknowledge, of course, that there has been a bill introduced that would eliminate the performance assessment as a requirement for teacher preparation. And obviously that's something we take great interest in and are working with the legislature and the governor's office. And I'm sure the commissioners will have an interesting conversation about that, of course. So I didn't want to ignore that. We're certainly aware of it. But as I said, I don't want to lead this particular committee down a deep conversation ahead of our commissioners. But if you have any questions on legislation, things that we're following, there will be an update at the commission's April meeting.
Great. Thanks, Erin. Yeah, and we're really indebted to Erin, who's got her feet in many places at the moment and wanting to continue to stay involved with the accreditation system as much as she can. So, and thanks to Sarah, who happens to be on vacation this week. I think she's showing her girls colleges this week. So, but it's been very helpful to have Sarah help me kind of, look at the agenda items and things like that. So, and help teams as they, kind of grapple with some issues. So really, really helpful. I wanted to ask before we close, Kara Mendoza. Kara, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
You are.
But, I always
Good morning,
do.
Everybody.
Kara, as you know, is our grants person, and there's always interesting grants. And there were a couple of new possibilities for next year, I believe. Is it integrated grant possibly?
Indeed, integrated SB or AB 2401 is a potential to plan for more integrated programs and or to support individuals through implementation of those grants and attend and being candidates in those grant programs as a possibility. Also, the community college. There was a community college pilot program where where educator preparation programs could work with community colleges, and the community colleges would host some remote coursework at their community colleges in the communities. And that was a pilot program back in 2020 for 3 institutions. And they're going to bring that back this year, potentially for 10 institutions. So yeah, there's some more grants coming down the road. And I do want to say that we just released our teacher residency expansion grant. You will notice it is a hugely quick turnaround, and that is by design. The due date is a quick turnaround, and it's by design because we know there are some programs out there already ready to begin a program in the fall of 2022. So we wanted to give them an option to get the money rolling their way. But very soon there will be another expansion grant for teacher residency release that will have a more suitable or more normal 3-month at least due date, time for you all to write to those. Implementation is coming next. Next week, we're hoping we release the computer science authorization, supplementary authorization grant, and classified will be coming out shortly, and hopefully also the preparation programs to help increase the dyslexia guidelines into their coursework. So RFAs are coming out, friends. We're working on them.
Thank you, Kara. I see a hand, Bob.
Yep, Member Hillis.
Yeah, Kara, the community college, I believe I remember that the community college partnerships was originally like in more rural communities. Is that going to continue to be a criteria, or is it more open for the entire state?
It was for the rural, you are correct. And I apologize, I need to go back and dig a little bit deeper into the language to see. And I will do that when we're off camera, and I'll send you a message through because I do not know exactly. And I'll send the chat through everyone so everyone can see the answer. Yeah, sorry.
All right, thanks.
We've been releasing RFAs. We don't have time to think about the future yet, but
No
I will definitely look at that for you, Mike.
Okay, thank
Committee
you.
Member Hillis.
Thank you. Member Taylor.
Thank you. Yes, very interested to hear about the computer science supplemental authorization grant. Very excited about that. Computer science is a great need in the schools where in our county for sure. Is the supplemental authorization likely to be a precursor to a computer science single subject credential at some point?
You want to answer that, Cheryl?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean,
It's a great question.
There's been a lot of talk for a number of years about a single subject computer science credential, but I have not seen any formal initiative on that. My understanding is that the ed code would have to be augmented because it has the specific single subject areas in the ed code. And I have not seen that, and maybe Aaron might have seen something go through Ledge, or will see something, but I haven't seen it. So it's possible. It's possible that may grow eventually, but I haven't seen it for the short term.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Just to I'm sorry, offer the
Please.
update that Cheryl asked for. There was a bill introduced. It's AB 1853, but it's an intent bill, and I guess what that means is it signals the legislature's intent that a credential should be developed for the purpose of increasing the number of computer science teachers and increasing equitable access to computer science education throughout the state. That bill, though, is what we call it's kind of a spot bill right now, meaning there's not much there. It doesn't cite any specific section of ed code. So it's one of those bills that we're watching. It definitely signals there's some intent there, but until they amend it and to actually, either add to or amend a section of ed code, it's a bill, but it's not moving because it's not doing anything yet. But I'm watching it. It's out there. It was introduced in February, so I have my eye on it.
Perfect.
Thanks, Aaron. Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I was just going to contribute the idea that obviously computer science is key in schools, and this looks a lot of different ways, and it looks different. What computer science is, what's computational thinking, right? These are very amorphous, changing, dynamic concepts, which is the whole beauty of the thing. What we consider computer science today is not computer science in 2 years, right? I mean, so I would just say that from my experience as a teacher and as a program leader in my district in Southern California, the more flexible those credential requirements can be to catch a larger variety of people who are interested in computational thinking, the better. I think the last thing we need is some like super rigid, narrow definition of what a computer science teacher, ought to have as a credential. I mean, right now, anybody who's got a math credential is qualified to teach computer science. And so just my 2 cents on that. We're going to get more people if we allow multiple ways to indicate someone's prepared to teach computer science, and B, we're going to be a lot more flexible in adapting to future demands and challenges if we take that perspective. So those are my comments on that.
Yeah, and Katrine, just to appreciate what you're saying about the complexity, there is that there is a push-pull for this topic and sort of these kinds of topics, I would say, because we do, we've got CTE credential authorizations that allow for this teaching. And the push-pull there is the industry experts who understand how quickly the topic of computer science can morph from year to year, are really, adamant that anybody teaching computer science needs to have some current industry experience. And continue to keep that current. And that's a little bit different than what we kind of require when we're doing, I want to say traditional credentials, and I don't want that to be in any way, insulting that computer science wouldn't be a traditional credential. But I'm just saying there is that sort of push-pull there. And it's something I think we've been navigating for a number of years. Certainly, this is not the first time there's been a call for, I feel like computer science has been on the table now for a long time. And I just think that this complexity, especially what you mentioned, is part of what is keeping the field from kind of landing anywhere for certain.
Thank you both. Carrie, you wish you had a comment?
Yes, I just want to answer committee member Hillis's question about remote. And indeed, it is following very similarly the same language from last time. The concept is offering these courseworks remotely, and priority is given to areas of the state with low rates of K-12 credential public school teachers. So it all does forecast for our more rural areas, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think that is staff's wrap up.
Great. That's a lot of information.
I didn't think it would be that long. Every time I say that, I don't think it's going to be that long.
No, you guys are busy. Your staff is extremely busy and extremely efficient. And as you all know, committee members and those in the public, they do incredible work. And thank you for sharing all the information. Regarding you mentioned the program review, Aaron, and those who are on board listening, we know many committee members have participated in program review. Many who are listening today do as well. So just a great shout out and thank you to all of you who are volunteering your time, especially during the last couple of years with more difficult challenges to really help with the process. So again, thank you for being part of this important process. And just to confirm, you mentioned the dates for May 5th and 6th, that for the next meeting, that will be Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
2 days. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on to item 6, which is program approval recommendations. And there are no institutions requesting approval for new programs at this time. So we'll move on to item 7, which is the report of program status changes. Now, there is an insert on the website that one additional item was added, so be sure you have access to that as we go through this section here. And this item is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 includes items for action by the COA, which include requests to withdraw, requests to reactivate inactive programs, and or requests to add a new content area to an existing program. Part 2 provides information on programs that have transitioned to revised program standards and programs that have elected to change to inactive status. And these items are for notification only, require no action by the COA. Part 1, sections A, B, and C. There are no items for sections A, B, and C today. And the next section is section D and E. And for notification purposes only, again, no action is required. Section D are programs transitioning. There are no programs requesting to transition at this time. Section E, programs moving to inactive status. And this section is for notification only. No action is required. There are 2 program sponsors moving a total of 7 programs to inactive status. From Mills College, Education Specialist, Added Authorization, Autism Spectrum Disorder. Education Specialist, Added Authorization, Autism Emotional Disturbance. Education Specialist, Early Childhood Special Education. Preliminary Multiple Subject, Preliminary Multiple Subject Intern, and Preliminary Administrative Services. From California State University, Fresno, Specialist Teaching, early childhood education specialist effective September 1 of 2022. And that concludes item 7. Moving on to item 8. Item 8 is initial program approval.
Oh,
New
sorry,
program
Bob.
sponsors. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Michelle.
I just have a correction to make for the CSU Fresno,
Okay.
the effective date.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so the effective date will actually be for today, March 17th, 2022, and we'll add that correction in the minutes.
Okay, so just to clarify, California State University Fresno, their specialist teaching early childhood education specialists be effective as of today.
Yes,
March
That's
17th.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate that.
Okay, now we'll move on to item 8. Item 8 is initial program approval for new program sponsors, and there are no new programs to review at this time. Moving on to item 9. Item 9 is a discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines. Analyst Michelle Bernardo will present the item. Ms. Bernardo, will you please begin?
Yes, good morning. So just have a brief update for common standards. As Erin mentioned earlier, that the common standard submissions were due February 28th. And we have received all of them except for one, which is Pasadena Unified School District. And we're currently working with them to get their submission in. They're just having some technical issues right now. And we'll hopefully have that up, I think they said, by the end of this week. So that's all I have for this item.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. And this is information action item. No action is really required by the COA at this time. So we have a time certain at 9:30. Do we have the parties present from Escondido? If not, we can take a break.
1 second. Check it out.
Everyone's here. I can start bringing them in now. if you'd like to.
Excuse me. Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
So committee members, call your attention to item number 10 on the agenda. It's a report of the accreditation team to Escondido Union High School District. Consultant Gay Roby will introduce the item, and joining her today is team lead Patricia Marichich. Did I get that correctly, Patricia? Is she with us yet?
I think they're all just.
It's Marisich.
Marisich, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I think they're not quite here yet,
Okay, no worries.
I can tell. Here's Gay.
Janice and Gay.
Mhm.
Craig is here. We're just missing our team lead.
Okay.
They may have been off camera while they were waiting
Sure, no worries.
and not quite ready. There's Craig.
Says I'm here.
Okay.
You just sent me a text. I'm here.
Oh, she's okay. Let me check on the other
I
screen.
think we're all here, right? Or is Pat here?
Okay, so we are we're on to item 10. And consultant Gay Roby will introduce the item. Joining her today is team lead Patricia Marichich. I'm sorry, is that correct?
Marisich.
I know I missed it the first time. Sorry, Marisich. Thank you very much. And institutional representatives Craig Wiblamo, Director of Human Resources Department, and Janice Wilson, Program Coordinator for Human Resources Department. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Ms. Roby, will you please begin?
Thank you. The virtual visit for Escondido Union High School District. They have another program for the elementary, but this is the high school district, occurred on January 31st through February the 2nd. The site visit review team consisted of 3 individuals. They interviewed 50 stakeholders, and while you might think that is few, you must remember this is a very small program. Last year they had 10 candidates, and this year they have exploded to 34 candidates in their teacher induction program. The visit was conducted according to all of the established protocols. There were no unusual circumstances, and it was a very pleasant experience for us all. And at this point, I would like to introduce Pat Marisich, the team lead, to present the report.
You're muted, Pat.
I'm not.
There
Okay.
you go.
I think I'm in now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pat Marisich, and I was the lead reviewer for the Escondido Union High School District Induction Program site visit. Before I begin, I want to thank a few people who are a big part of this visit. First, our consultant, Gay Roby, and she helped to make our visit run so smoothly. Gay, I really appreciated all of your guidance and support. It was just invaluable. So thank you, Gay. Also, our team members, Lydia Schneider and Teresa Shockley, who both worked so thoughtfully and diligently, both before and throughout the site visit. Thank you. My hat's off to you. And especially to the team from Escondido, Craig Woodblemo, if I'm saying that right, who is the program director for Escondido, as well as Janice Wilson and Adam Bialma, the program coordinators, who are all such wonderful hosts and made us feel so welcome during the visit. Thank you to all of you. So I'm happy to report that our virtual site visit from January 31st to February 2nd was a very pleasant and professional experience from beginning to end. We interviewed numerous stakeholders, I think 50 stakeholders during the course of our visit, and we reviewed abundant evidence for each standard, which led us to our findings. I want to let you know that there were probably some few memorable highlights from our visit, and I kind of thought of three in mind that I want to share with you. And first of all, I want to let you know that our team was very, very impressed with the strong cross-district support for the induction program that we found in our interviews. And this was everybody from the superintendent all the way down to candidate completers. Across the boards, there was extremely strong support for the program. Everyone we interviewed easily and readily noted the value of the program and validated that their candidates grew in the CSTPs over time that they had in the program. We saw they had a great love for the induction program in their district. Secondly, we were really impressed with how authentically the program was implemented and integrated within each site and across the district. Everyone we interviewed spoke with one voice, validating how effective the program was for their candidates. So for us, those three areas were, I think, part of the highlight of visiting Escondido. So I wanted to share those with you, but I forgot the last one, which is maybe the most important, is that we were really impressed by the dedication and passion that the induction coordinators brought to the program. And I'm really speaking directly to Craig, Janice, and Adam. They are really filled with dedication and passion. They are the driving force behind this program. And every stakeholder that we interviewed spoke to this passion that they have and this dedication they have for helping new teachers succeed and grow in their teaching. So for us as a team, these were the highlights of our visit. Getting to witness this great passion and dedication that their induction program team had for the program, and how the program was so integrated and implemented consistently across the program and across the district in a very authentic way. Everybody that we spoke to really had firsthand knowledge of the program. Okay, so on to our report. All common standards were met. All program standards were met with the exception of Standard 3, which was met with concerns. Specifically, we found that the areas of Standard 3 that we were concerned with had to do with the ILP being collaboratively developed at the beginning of the induction program by the candidate and mentor, with input from the employer regarding the job assignment and guidance from the program staff. The candidate's specific teaching assignment should provide the appropriate context for the development of the overall ILP. However, the candidate and mentor may add additional goals. So the team found that while the ILP was individualized for each candidate, candidates were also required to complete a significant number of rote assignments in addition to the ILP, with limited individualization for each candidate. So while an employer may require a wide range of activities or assignments for its new employees, but its candidates in a conduction program cannot be required to complete these standardized assignments as part of completing the induction program. This is why the team is recommending met with concerns. The site team is recommending accreditation with a 7th-year report, providing the COA with an update on the changes they will make to ensure that they have better alignment to the program standards, including to include 3 areas: that the individual learning plan will be the only required document for completion of the induction program. Second, that the program will create a more formal and documented relationship with their community partners, for example, such as CSU San Marcos. And this is to meet the inconsistent for program standard 4. And lastly, that the program will enhance their continuous improvement cycle with more documented additional stakeholder. And again, this is addressing the inconsistency in common standard for continuous improvement. And with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Marasich, for your detailed report. Appreciate that. This is now an opportunity for the institution, member of the institution, to offer any comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you had about the visit. So,
hi, this is Janice. Yeah, this is Janice. Since Craig didn't jump right in, I'll do it. Thank you. I want to start by thanking the members of the Community Accreditation. I wanted to say hello, friends, Cheryl, Katrine, it's good to see you again, even though it's through a screen, and Aaron, it's good to see you as well. So thank you to all the members of the Community Accreditation for having us today. I also wanted to express my sincere and abundant appreciation to the entire team. I told Gay and that when our district learned that she was our consultant, I almost did the happy dance. And she was absolutely amazing through the entire process. And even though I didn't know Pat or Lydia or Terry beforehand, I just want to extend my, again, sincere and abundant appreciation for them. They worked hard and they had some really great suggestions. And as a result of their recommendations, we looked at our entire program, and we are still looking at our entire program. And when I say we, it's Craig, myself, and Adam. And some of the changes that we've made already include streamlining, if not eliminating, our cycles of inquiry. And we eliminated many of the redundancies that we were great. We are very grateful to be able to look at with a fresh lens as a result of Pat and Lydia and Terry. And we've integrated some of our activities, for example, our self-assessment into the ILP. So it is truly a result of what the individual teacher is doing versus a standardized document. We are offering the continuing teaching practice as a tool, but it is no longer the driving tool. The ILP is the driving tool for the self-assessment. We've also tried to strengthen and are in the process.
Everybody starts out good.
Strengthening our relationship with the IHEs. Cal State San Marcos is right over the hill from us. And so we are strengthening that relationship. It's a benefit to them too, since they are in Indigo cohort. And so it's a symbiotic relationship there. And in addition to that, in terms of strengthening stakeholder input, our teacher induction panel is meeting more frequently, and they are having greater input in terms of program changes and really advising and taking a stronger leadership role. We are instituting our more meetings with our site principals and really working towards making the ILP the only document that people are going to be submitting. That's just within the past couple months. Adam, my partner, we are really looking forward to giving the entire program a fresh view, a fresh viewpoint, and revising a lot of different things. So I wrote in one of my my notes, I believe it to Pat. It was, as I said before, a sincere appreciation and gratitude for almost allowing us to remove the scales from our eyes to look at different things. So it was extremely positive. I'm almost elated and just looking forward to serving our teachers better and more in the future. So.
And I'll just jump in now and just say thank you to Gay, thank you to Pat, also to Lydia and Terry for providing the feedback to us in our program. This is my first experience going through an induction accreditation. I've done plenty of WASC accreditations in my day, but I came to the district back in July, and so this was new to me. And I have to say, what I really appreciate is that this was a valuable experience for us as an institution. And not only did it give us a chance to celebrate our strengths as a program, but it gave us, as Janice pointed out, that fresh look, those fresh eyes to identify some areas for growth. And as you can tell from what Janice shared, we're already working on some of those areas right now. So that to us, that's why it was so valuable. And I would like to say thank you to Janice. Janice was working on this project before I even got here last July and saw it through from beginning to end. It is just a tremendous program coordinator. So thank you, Janice.
Thank you both, Ms. Wilson and Mr. Wiblamo. Am I saying that correctly? Wiblamo?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, all right, great. Thank you both. And we really appreciate your comments. It's nice to know that the work of the team and of course the work of Gay and all the staff who have contributed to this has been beneficial, that you found it to be useful. And I really appreciate your perspective on it and viewing this as not just another hoop to jump through, but rather taking it for careful consideration and program improvement, which is what we all do. So I like that. And I also liked your phrase, Ms. Wilson, about through another lens or a new lens, right? Which is so important, just for having somebody else take a different perspective on it or a new look on it. So thank you both for your comments. We appreciate that. It's nice to know that the process is working so well. This opportunity for committee members to offer any comments or questions that you might have. All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion by the committee member? Member Forts.
I move that we accept the committee's recommendation of accreditation for the Escondido Union High School District Induction Program.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? Member Tchaikovsky. Any further discussion? All right, Secretary, please call the roll.
Cynthia Almos.
Actually, it was accreditation
with a 7th-year report.
With the 7th-year report, right?
Yeah.
So I think the motion needs to be amended.
Can I amend it? Is that
sure?
What?
Yeah,
sure.
go ahead, Joe.
I'd like to amend my motion to accept the team's recommendation of accreditation with a 7th-year report for the Escondido Union High School District Induction Program.
It's a mouthful, but you got it all, I think. And
The second.
Member Tchaikovsky, would you still like to second? All right. Any further discussion on that? Okay, now we'll go ahead and call for the roll.
Cynthia Almos.
Aye.
Jomaline Valatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee. Gerard Morrison.
Aye for Jason Lee as well. Sorry, I was trying to
Thanks,
unmute.
Jason. Sorry, Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, so motion carries. Congratulations. And thank you all for joining us, Mr. Wiblamo, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Marisich, and as always, thank you, Ms. Roby. Okay, have a great day. Thank you. We are item 11. Item 11, we do have a time certain. Do we have the reps from Santa Barbara available?
I do.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on then to item 11. It's the discussion of the first quarter report from Santa Barbara Unified. Consultants William Hattrick will introduce the item. And joining him today is Institutional Representative Roxana Stern Teacher Induction Program Coordinator, to answer any questions you may have about the report. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Mr. Hattrick, will you please begin?
Right. Good morning, committee members. This item is the first quarterly report that is required as a result of the outcome of the provisional site visit that was held October 4th through the 6th in 2021. At the February 3rd, 2022 Committee on Accreditation meeting, the COA determined that Santa Barbara Unified School District be granted accreditation with stipulations, and that the district provide quarterly reports to update the COA on the district's progress towards meeting them. In keeping with current practice, the COA's recommendations regarding Santa Barbara's accreditation decision is on this April's commission agenda. In anticipation of commission action at the April meeting, and given the length of time between the October 2021 site visit and the April 2022 commission meeting, staff developed a schedule for the district to submit quarterly reports between the February 22 COA meeting and the October 22 COA meeting to allow for progress monitoring. The first report was submitted to commission staff on February 23rd and addresses steps the district has taken to respond to the stipulations recommended by the site visit team, which can be found on page 3 of the agenda item. Roxana Stern, the program director from Santa Barbara Unified, is with us this morning to answer any questions you may have about their progress to date. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Hattrick. Ms. Purdue, any questions or any comments you wish to make?
It's, I think,
Ms.
Ms.
Stern. Ms.
Different
Stern.
Roxanne.
Yeah,
Roxana.
Roxana.
I simply wanted to thank you folks for the opportunity that was provided by the site visit and the points that were given to us to work on. As the prior program had said, it is so helpful to have the outside lens. It helps shine a light on work that we may have known needed to be done, but allows us to sharpen our focus on that work. And we have gathered no moss since the October site visit. We got to work immediately on the recommendations that were provided by the visiting committee. And those that progress that we have made thus far is reflected in the report that you have. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about that. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Stern. I am respectful and appreciative of the process that this was submitted so quickly following the initial report in in February. So within 3 weeks, something presented shows a serious and dedicated effort to want to follow through on the procedures and definitely shows interest in improvement. So thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
Any questions or comments from committee members before we ask the public for comment? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
No comments.
All right, seeing none, this isn't an action item, but rather we will go ahead and accept the report. So we want to thank you all for your hard work on this, and we look forward to the next report as well. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. We are a little ahead of schedule, so maybe now would be a good time to take a break.
Yeah, we don't have all the representatives for the next item yet. And so, yeah, it might be a good idea.
Okay, so you think, will they be there, you think, within 10 minutes? Since this is a shorter meeting, would 10 minutes be enough time to?
I can't say. I can check with them, but they are scheduled for about 10 o'clock, so they might be here.
Okay, how about this? Let's come back in 10 minutes, everybody. Take a nice little stretch break. And then we'll see where we are on the timing. And if we need to, we can always jump forward and maybe tackle a few other items if necessary.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming back on time. We're going to reconvene the meeting. And we are going to move on to item 12. We have all parties present. Item 12 is a report of the accreditation team to Sequoia Union High School District. Consultant Christina Nahara will introduce the item, and she is joined by team lead Dr. Amanda Baird and institutional representatives Victoria Dye, Director of Professional Development, Curriculum, and Induction, and Catherine Watchler, Lead Induction Coach, and Bonnie Hanson, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Does anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none. Ms. Nahara, will you please begin?
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to share the report on the virtual site visit to Sequoia Union High School District, which took place January 24th through 26th for their teacher induction program. The hard work and professionalism of site visit team members Lori Goldstein and Linda Moslinikar, who reviewed evidence both before and during the visit, along with the outstanding leadership and guidance of our team lead, Dr. Amanda Baird, led to a thorough review of Sequoia Union's high quality and standards-based induction program. I'd like to thank and recognize the extraordinary work of Victoria Dye, Catherine Wachtler, and the district leadership for accommodating the visit with no technical glitches and seamless participation of all program constituents. As we all know, this was a pretty heavy lift back in January with sub shortages and all the other challenges that our LEA friends are experiencing. So I'd now like to turn it over to Amanda, who will review the team's findings.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I just would like to start by thanking Sequoia for being so accommodating during the visit, especially Victoria and Catherine. You were there to respond to any questions or give us any evidence and just really responsive to any feedback. So we greatly appreciate it. I would also like to thank our team members, Lori Goldstein and Linda Mosilnikar, for taking time away from their busy programs to do this incredibly important work. And then finally to Christina, you are just a great leader and guide. And so this is very appreciative on our end to come in and have you help us through the process. So thank you so much. This visit took place between January 24th and 26th. Everything went very well. Something that our team found very helpful as well was the 2-week out visit when we got to meet with the team pre-work, because it helped us be better prepared and be able to focus on all our interviews when we arrived. We witnessed many great things throughout the process. Some of the highlights are, first, Sequoia is so dedicated to this process and supporting their teachers and their growth in their first years as teachers, especially with such a large group coming in that pandemic time, when this year especially may have been their first year in an actual classroom in front of students. They really understand the connection. As a high school district, they really understand that connection that those elementary schools feed into them. And so making those connections and supporting that process, because those students will one day become theirs. And then a third thing that we felt was a major highlight is their investment in professional learning, whether it's district created or through university partnerships or consultants. If they haven't created the professional learning that the teachers need, even on an individual basis, they are really committed to finding all of the resources to have it created so that all of their teachers are supported. Our reasonings behind our team findings, two major points. Our first is that we clearly and consistently heard from candidates in the program that they value their mentors, support, and the induction program in general. The program listens to their feedback and makes changes accordingly. And therefore, the team felt that the things that needed to be fixed were those back-end housekeeping items that did not have a direct impact on the candidate's induction experience. And another reason is that the three met with concerns findings are really interwoven and truly boiled down to the need for Sequoia and their partnering district, Ravenswood, to have more frequent formal and documented interactions. So our team had 3 met with concerns findings from Common Standard 1, Program Standards 4 and 6. And as I mentioned above, the 3 findings are very much related to one another and direct the Sequoia Union High School districts to involve Ravenswood City School District in programmatic decision-making, as well as more actively overseeing the ongoing training and regular feedback provided to Ravenswood mentors. So after conducting the site visit, our team is recommending accreditation status be awarded to the Sequoia Union High School District Teacher Induction Program. And at this time, I'd like to open it up for questions.
All right, thank you, Dr. Baird. This is now a time for the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you had about the visit itself.
Good morning to the commission, and thank you so much for having us here today. The first thing I would like to do is express our profound gratitude to our visiting team, Dr. Baird, Lori Goldstein, and Lisa, Linda and Lisa, we were so grateful for your feedback. The process made us a better program and more able to support our candidate growth, which of course means that we'll be able to retain better candidates and serve our students more completely and thoroughly and equitably. So the feedback really, the process, again, going through the induction process guided by Christina Naharo was transformative for us, although we have some areas met with concerns, and although more or less we were able to meet standards, even in the areas where we weren't met with concerns, we've embarked upon a process of improvement through the accreditation process. And we're so grateful to Christina for her guidance. Thank you so much. It couldn't have been better to work with you. So overall, the findings, the areas that were met with concern, like Dr. Baird mentioned, had to do with our being able to provide consistently high level of service for our teachers, our Sequoia teachers and our Ravenswood teachers, and to provide robust support for our mentors. And we've already embarked upon that process. We sort of had a practice of operating as 2 conjoined programs with the intent of meeting the individual needs of our 2 districts, an elementary district and a high school district, equally well. We'll move forward as one program with an aligned level of service and offering equally robust support, but with differentiation that's needed for the 2 levels. So with respect to we've begun to formalize our collaborative process between the 2 districts, Sequoia and Ravenswood, and we are aligning our practice around mentor support, candidate ILP growth monitoring, and other evidence-based practices for induction and curriculum and instruction. Specifically, in the area of supporting mentor qualification, selection, and training. The head of the Ravenswood program and I are working to standardize and improve the way that mentors participate in goal setting, receiving training and support to implement the mentoring tools and the manner in which they reflect on practice. Our initial mentor training will be consolidated. Ravenswood and Sequoia leads. We are already collaborating on the practice for goal setting and reflection, and all of the additional training opportunities that are offered to Sequoia mentors over the course of the year will be made available to all of our mentors, Sequoia and Ravenswood. And with respect to assuring program quality of service, Ravenswood and Sequoia leads are we formalized a process for meeting on a regular basis, one that existed but needed to be formalized and standardized, like Dr. Baird mentioned. And we'll share a practice for providing mentors formative feedback on an ongoing basis and meet regularly to ensure that we're providing equally robust support for our mentors. And finally, with respect to Common Standard 1 and institutional infrastructure, we are the Ravenswood lead and other representatives will participate in our advisory meetings and have consistent opportunities for input and to make recommendations and review data. So we are well on our way to become more completely one program that serves all of our mentors and helps them improve continuously and serves all of our teachers better. And this is particularly important to retain excellent teachers now more than ever, and especially in our partner district, Ravenswood. I just want to make a note, and Dr. Baird mentioned that there were consistent comments about the quality of our mentors, and that's because of Catherine Wachtler, our lead mentor and induction teacher, and we are so grateful. We're so grateful for our support from Ed Services and Bonnie Hansen. And again, thank you so much to the visiting team, and enormous gratitude to Christina Nahara for guiding us through the process.
Thank you, Ms. Dye, for those detailed comments, and we appreciate hearing those. Anyone else from the institution wants to offer a comment?
I was so impressed by Christina and her team, and I'm so grateful that I get to work with Vicki and Catherine, who care so much about putting a quality program forth.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Hansen. All right, this is an opportunity then for any member of the public to offer any comment that you wish to make.
Seeing no comments, Paul.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Baird, for the detailed report. As I was reading through this, there are just a couple questions I had, if you don't mind. And I'm looking at the overall recommendation, and the recommendation that you provide here is that all standards were met and the team recommends accreditation. Yet within the report itself, it notes that two of the program standards, number 4 and 6, and then Common Standard 1 were not met. So would you be able to address then how the team's findings came to accreditation rather than accreditation with concerns, or anything related to the standards that were not met?
We had lengthy discussions about this, of which one to choose. But again, like I mentioned, we felt that they were so connected, and it wasn't that the communication and the mentor support isn't occurring. It just, we wanted to see a more formalized process. So for example, I'll use Ravenswood as an example. They're a very small district. And so it's not unusual for the lead of the district to be discussing with a mentor and it be a phone call or an email instead of the more formal process. And so it was those things that we definitely did see occurring. It just, we needed to see a more consistent way of it going on throughout the entire program. So that was one of our main reasons of going with accreditation instead of the 7th group.
Okay, and I certainly see where you would want to go with accreditation. I guess the question more specific is that within the recommendation itself, technically the standards were met, but they were met with concerns. So we can open this up for committee discussion, but I would propose that perhaps we discuss whether or not, just for transparency and clarity, that there are notifications in the overall recommendation, again, that which standards perhaps were met with concerns, and then the accreditation recommendation can still stand. But maybe there's something there we need to discuss. Member Martinez, do you have any comments?
Well, I wanted to thank you, Co-Chair Farley. I had similar concerns and questions, and with with one common standard not being met and two program standards, I really, when we think about consistency in our findings and as a committee, I recommend that we add a stipulation or quarterly report, something beyond just accreditation. I understand the reasons why and appreciate the work and the kind of the informal process that were in place. But part of what I see as our program review is that we are looking for standards to be met, and accreditation really reflects that. And so not that, I appreciate Ms. Dye's explanation and kind of really, seeing the how candidates are perceiving the program and the support it is giving them. That's the bottom line, and I want to commend that. But I think I would recommend that we add quarterly reports, or at least quarterly reports, or I should say quarterly reports, or at least a 7th-year report.
Okay, thank you, Co-Chair Martinez. Let's hold, I see some other hands, so let's hold on that recommendation, and we can always come back with a formal recommendation. But in the meantime, Member Amos.
Yes, we really walk a fine line, and while we want to honor the work and the thoughtfulness and the intentionality of everyone in this process, I have to agree with co-chairs Martinez and Fraley that given that this is the current status, that we really should drill down a little bit deeper. And our job is to kind of support that process. So I too would recommend some sort of quarterly report or stipulation or something a little bit more than accreditation, given the report that sits before us now for consideration.
All right, thank you, Member Amos. Ms. Hanson.
Yeah, I wanted to, I certainly understand the concerns as far as process and consistency, but I did want to note that the findings were because we voluntarily took on a partner district that did not have the funding or the bandwidth to do this themselves. So in your decision making, it doesn't encourage districts to frankly help out other districts.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hickey, I did see your hand up.
Sorry, I was muted. I see Chair Chakowski, Committee Member Chakowski first, and then I'm happy to kind of help with the process piece.
Okay, sure. Member Chakowski.
I would concur with my colleagues regarding a consistent goal to align recommendations with findings per standards. So as someone who's just gone through the same process with my own district's induction program recently in the last couple of years, I recognize that these stipulations and terms imposed on reports are often seen as punitive or negative. With response to your comment, Ms. Hanson, just now about it being a deterrent to help other districts, I think actually it's important for us to view feedback from the visiting committee as a means of raising expectations and success in meeting the standards, and to obtain the support and feedback that's required to achieve those goals. So I think, rather than this being a deterrent to help another district, to offer a 7th-year report, for example, would provide you validation and an opportunity to collect data that will inform your ability to not only make this partnership work for you, but potentially trick out the partner district so they can fly on their own. So I think that's kind of our intent in providing feedback of the type that Member Amos has just described.
Thank you, Member Chakowski. Right. So you're just to kind of summarize, we're looking at this more as supportive rather than punitive, and as the process to continue in the supportive vein. Let's Member Amos, and then we'll go Ms. Hanson.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Yes, I agree with Member Chakowski. Having been on many accreditation visits, I've actually seen, because stipulations are we don't do this lightly. This is a lot of thought with a lot of intention. And on the back end, we've actually seen in the subsequent reports, reallocation of resources, rethinking, bringing, as was mentioned earlier, a new lens to the present situation. And it was a win-win for everyone coming through the back end. So I just humbly request that you don't look at this as punitive, that we're trying to support, and that we view this as trying to give you what you need, as Member Tchaikovsky said, to say, hey, this is something that we need to re-examine. We need to look at, and how can we meet these expectations and make our program better.
Thank you, Member Amos. Ms. Hanson.
I absolutely understand what the intent is, but I do want to reiterate that the findings were not actually about what is happening in our district. And even though this may be work that makes the overall program better, it will be more work, and it will be more work because we partnered and took on another district.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hickey, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the options in front of the Committee on Accreditation. So the team obviously has a recommendation of accreditation, which would be no follow-up at all. The options, of course, and that's a recommendation. The Committee on Accreditation can't change the findings on the standards according to our framework and our accreditation handbook, but you can choose an accreditation decision because you are the decision makers on the accreditation decision. So the findings on the standards stay. The options before you, of course, are full accreditation with no follow-up. You could go as far as a stipulation, which means that the institution must respond within a year. It could be sooner than a year about how they've addressed these stipulations. And of course, there's stipulations, major stipulations, and probationary stipulations. In between accreditation and with stipulations is that accreditation with the 7th year report. That is also an option. That is full accreditation with an update. And that tends to be things that just need updates or you need to know that the changes that have been made are being maintained after a year. So that is an option that the Committee on Accreditation came up with and has used a number of times. So that's an option. So those are your options. Michelle did email you the little chart that we use every time that brings the accreditation handbook kind of to a conclusion. But I just wanted to remind you of that. Quarterly reports typically aren't needed or typically aren't used unless it's major stipulations or probationary stipulations. Usually it's just accreditation with some sort of 7th year report. After a year, you get that, or accreditation with stipulations. But quarterly reports really are mostly reserved for the major or probationary ends. You can do it at any point in time, but that's just typically what you do and what you've been doing previously.
All right, thanks for the clarification, Cheryl, and the information as a reminder. Member Larson, then Member Tchaikovsky.
It seems like the information from the folks that visited the site, and from what we're hearing, it does seem, and from what Cheryl said, it seems like a 7th year report is appropriate to provide the accreditation with the 7th year report. So we're acknowledging that they've done incredible work and that the visiting team recommended accreditation, while acknowledging that there's some additional information that we would like to see reported on. And so that would be my recommendation, that we do accreditation with the 7th year report.
All right, thank you, Member Larson. And again, we'll put that aside as an option for now until we hear from everybody. Member Forbes.
Again, thank you for the enthusiasm and the passion with which you're obviously approaching your work with the new teachers, because as you've said, those of you from the districts, this is a very critical time, right? So in that spirit of support and honoring the documentation that the team felt would be helpful, and both in your revisions of what you're doing that you've explained so far this morning, I'd like to make a motion that we that we grant accreditation with a 7th-year report. We revised the team's recommendation and have accreditation with a 7th-year report as the decision.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. So just to summarize, you're accepting the team report of accreditation with the added requirement of a 7th-year report.
Yes.
Okay. Member Tchaikovsky.
I'll second that.
Okay, well, I saw your hand up earlier, so I didn't know if you had any additional comments you wanted to make.
No, I was actually going to make the motion that my colleague has already done.
All right. Having done that and having seconded, is there any further discussion from committee members? All right, seeing none, Michelle, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Cynthia Amos.
Aye.
Jamaline Balataya.
Aye.
Kathy Grisha.
Aye.
Katrina Chakowski.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, so motion carries unanimously. And please understand that the recommendation and the motion actually that's just passed, accreditation with the 7th-year report, is supportive in nature. And that's really the design. We're hoping that you find that the report itself will give you some additional support at the institution there to have the resources necessary to be able to support your ongoing work that has been doing so well and serving the needs of multiple districts at this point. So we thank you, Dr. Bear, and your team for the report. Thank you, Ms. Dye. Thank you, Ms. Walkler, Ms. Hanson, and also Ms. Naharo. Thank you all for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We look forward to the ongoing support and continued improvement.
Absolutely. Thank you. We like to hear that. Happy to help.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day. So at this time, I'm going to pass the gavel over to our co-chair, Member Martinez. So Marty, gavel is yours.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Sullivan, do we have everybody in for the next item with King-Chavez Academy?
Okay. Emily Bremer should be elevated to panelist, and we are here.
Emily Bremer. Okay, I'm sorry. That is not the name I had on my.
Sorry, just make a note of that.
Yes.
And while she's joining, Emily is a quarantined household with 2 little ones, and Sesame Street is currently keeping her children busy.
That's one we forgot this morning, Sesame Street. We forgot to add that to our discussion.
So will Cindy Kelly be joining us?
Not this morning.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 13 is a discussion of the 7th-year report from King-Chavez Academy of Excellence. Consultant Gay Roby will introduce this item. Joining her today is Emily Bremer. And Emily, I apologize, I did not catch your role with King-Chavez.
Director of Induction.
Great, Director of Induction. So welcome. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Roby, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you very much. The site visit for King-Chavez Neighborhood of Schools was held last year, February 8th through the 10th. And at the next COA meeting, the COA determined an accreditation rating with a 7th-year report. And the 7th-year report was asked to address 2 specific concerns. First, that the neighborhood of schools establish a collaborative relationship with local IHE and other teacher induction programs. They had it for their institution, but not specifically for the teacher induction program. And then secondly, that they provide ongoing training for their program's mentors. While they had initial training, we didn't see ongoing training happening. So the steps that the program has taken to date or plan to take before the end of this academic year are outlined in their 7th-year report, which was linked to this item. But I would like to quickly highlight what they had for the first stipulation on collaboration. They have attended 3 collaborative meetings in the greater San Diego area with other education preparation programs, 1 with the University of California, San Diego, and 2 with other teacher induction programs. For the second stipulation on their ongoing mentor training, the virtual California Induction Conference was held in December of 2021, and their mentors attended that conference. They had scheduled a follow-up event, but COVID and inclement weather has meant that event is postponed, so it's coming up this May. And secondly, they have established a mentor book club. They have selected a book that they are discussing through a Google Classroom website. And then finally, they have established 2 ways to recognize their mentors' services. The King-Chavez CEO, Cindy Kelly, will lead an annual board recognition of the mentors and their services. And then they're also going to start a media campaign. They have many platforms which the neighborhood of schools uses. And so they are going to recognize the mentors and their efforts one by one. So it is staff's recommendation that the COA accept the 7th year report of the King-Chavez neighborhood of schools. And Emily Bremer and I are available to respond to any committee member questions.
Thank you, Ms. Roby. I did want to note that Member Forbes recused herself from this section. And now we'd like to invite Ms. Bremer, if you would like to make any comments on behalf of King-Chavez.
Good morning, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for having me today. We enjoyed working with Gay over the last year to get this report kind of polished. No comments this morning.
Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
No comments, Marty.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from committee members? Okay, this is an information item. No action is required. We will go ahead and accept the report. And would just want to say thank you to Ms. Bremer and to Ms. Roby for your time and work on this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and move on to item 14, the report of the accreditation team to Pacific Oaks College. And Ms. Sullivan, are we ready? Is the team here for this?
Yeah, they should all be coming in now.
Great. Consultants Jake Schuler and Tim Weeks will introduce this item. He is joined by team lead Dr. Chris Hopper and institutional representatives Dr. Jarrell Hill, Dean, and Dr. Catherine Walter, Program Director for Teacher Credentialing. Does anybody need to recuse themselves? Okay, Mr. Schuler, will you please begin?
Good morning, everyone. And actually, Tim Weeks is going to start us off with the first few thoughts here.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Good morning, committee members. The Pacific Oaks site visit took place from January 30th through February 1st. The visit was conducted entirely via video technology, via Zoom, and a total of 152 interviews were conducted with various stakeholders throughout the site visit. And despite being conducted entirely online, the site visit proceeded in accordance with all the normal protocol accreditation standards. And personally, I'd just like to thank Jarrell and Catherine for their support and responsiveness to our questions, and Jake for serving as an incredible mentor consultant on this visit. So Jake, you got it.
Thanks, Tim. And thank you to Tim for being part of this visit on a very quick, short notice as he was just starting with the commission. The team at Pacific Oaks was led, as Tim mentioned, by Dr. Catherine Walter, Program Director for Teacher Credentialing, and by the Dean, Dr. Jarrell Hill. Catherine and Jarrell were fantastic to work with and to get to know personally throughout the year leading up to the site visit. Also joining by Zoom is our team lead, Dr. Chris Hopper. Chris was an absolute joy to work with and was a fantastic leader throughout the process. We'd also like to thank our other site visit review team members for contributing their time and expertise to the visit. That team was Drs. Doreen Furco, Pam Lepage, and Ursula Estrada Reveles. I'll now stop here and turn it over to Chris to present the findings and the accreditation recommendation.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. Just a few remarks as an introduction here. Pacific Oaks is recognized as a Hispanic serving institution by the United States Department of Education, with approximately 50% of the student population recognized as Latinx. The Pacific Oaks programs have 2 campuses of Pasadena and San Jose, but they also offer some on-site programs throughout the state, such as at Watsonville and Elk Grove. The credential programs have experienced growth in recent years, with a large increase in multiple subject candidates and a modest increase in education specialist candidates. The credential programs are accessible to undergraduates with an integrated bachelor's degree and a credential, and for graduate students with a traditional intern or teacher residency program. Pacific Oaks faculty embraces the core values of a democratic classroom, caring, building on strengths, authentic assessment, learning through play, intellectual and moral autonomy, and transformative learning. Pacific Oaks partners with the Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity to strengthen the impact of educator preparation programs with the broad goal of both diversifying the teaching profession and championing educational equity for all students. Pacific Oaks has an engaged School of Education Advisory Board and a key partnership with Pasadena Unified School District. I will now move to the findings from the team. All general preconditions and preconditions for all credential programs were met. Under program standards, all program standards for the preliminary multiple subject credential program were met. All program standards for the preliminary education specialist mild moderate credential were met. The bilingual authorization program was not reviewed as part of this site visit. The program was approved by the Committee on Accreditation in March 2021, and there are currently no candidates submitted to the program. On the common standards, all common standards were met. There was one item, common standard 1.2, which was inconsistently met, and that related to the inconsistent evidence regarding the large number of adjunct faculty and how they were integrated into the administration and organization of the program. Given the findings on preconditions, common standards, and program standards, the review team recommends an accreditation status of accreditation. I would like to thank Pacific Oaks personnel, Dean Hill, and Program Director Catherine Walter, for their great work in organizing the visit. And I would like to really thank my colleagues at the Commission, Jake and Tim, for their guidance and support through the visit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hopper. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's findings, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit.
I just would like to say thank you. It was a really wonderful experience for us here at Pacific Oaks. I'd like to thank the team, Jake and Tim and Chris, and the team that really provided the support. We learned a lot. We took it as a way to really improve our program. I thought that was a really good exercise for us to go through, being a first-time dean, going through the process of really understanding the continuous improvement, because as we all know, we do need educators that are really effective to serve throughout California. So it was really a joy to understand the process from the inside out, so that we could really strengthen our programs and continue to do such an important job for teacher education. So I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or feedback from the institution?
Oh, just to echo what Dr. Hill said, I would just also really like to thank our site visit team for just all their ongoing support and professionalism and really attention to detail, both in helping us prepare for the site visit and throughout the visit. As Dr. Hill mentioned, it was overall just a really meaningful experience for our institution and for us to really do that deep dive into our program as part of our own continuous improvement and growth. So just thank you again to everyone.
Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
No comments.
Okay. Have any questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion
I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation for Pacific Oaks College.
Thank you. We have a motion by committee member Taylor, second.
A second.
Okay, was that Ms. Amos?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you by committee member Amos. We'll now do a roll call. All those in favor say aye, opposed say no. Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the names?
Cynthia Almos.
Aye.
Jomaline Bolatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Nick Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Thank you. Kevin Taylor.
Aye. Thank you for such a thorough report, Dr. Hopper. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Good to see you.
Okay, motion carries. And I'd like to thank Dr. Hill, Dr. Walter, Dr. Hopper, Mr. Weeks, and Mr. Schuler, and the institution. Thank you for all your hard work and for the great program. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We're running a little early. Do we have the team from Palo Alto Unified with us?
We do not. We're waiting on the team lead. I know that Hart, the consultant, has reached out, but we are a little early and we don't have folks for the 11 o'clock just yet. That's definitely too early for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so we have about 7 minutes, I know, for their time slot. Ms. Hickey or Ms. Sullivan, any recommendations? I don't know that there's any items that are short enough that we could cover right now later on in the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, we could go to, the only one that we have where we don't need a person from the outside is number 19, which is the handbook chapter. We could start that.
The team lead did just show up.
Oh, he did just.
Yep.
So then we are ready.
We are ready. Yeah.
We're ready for that one. And that.
So let me go ahead and bring those folks in.
Item 15, right?
Item 15.
All right. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thanks to the team lead for jumping on so quickly.
Okay, item 15 is a report of the accreditation team to Palo Alto Unified School District. Consultant Hart Boyd will introduce this item. He is joined by team lead Ricky Belsch or Belshi, excuse me if I said it wrong, and institution representative Kelly Bickley, professional learning and induction director. Does anyone need to recuse themselves for this item? Hey, Mr. Boyd, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. Palo Alto Unified School District site visit took place from February 14th through the 15th, 2022. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the site visit was conducted virtually rather than in person. A total of 111 interviews were conducted with various stakeholders, and the site visit proceeded in accordance with all normal accreditation protocols. Everyone at Palo Alto USD was great to work with, especially Kelly, who was extremely thorough and thoughtful in her preparation for the visit. Joining us today via technology and representing Palo Alto USD is Kelly Bickle, Professional Learning and Induction Director. And I got a late notice, Sharon Ofek, Associate Superintendent, is also joining us as well. Also joining us today is the site visits team lead, Ricky Belshi, Assistant Principal on Special Assignment in Capistrano Unified School District. Ricky was fantastic to work with and was an extremely knowledgeable and thoughtful leader throughout the process. I would also like to thank each of the members of our site visit team for contributing their time and expertise to the visit. The team worked diligently in preparation for the visit and worked extremely hard during the visit. I'll now stop and turn it over to Ricky, who will present the findings and the team's accreditation recommendation. Thank you.
Good morning. First, thanks to Hart for your guidance before, during, and after the site visit. I truly appreciate it. Thanks also to Kelly and really the entire staff at Palo Alto and the consortium districts as well for supporting our team in successfully completing this site review. They were incredibly responsive to any requests we sent out. And truly the organization and design of their accreditation website made it really easy to work through this site review and prepare. As we came on site virtually, it was the middle of February, and the team had several conversations about the Omicron surge and whether or not we were going to be able to connect with all the stakeholders we needed to connect with, because there were staffing shortages all over the place. And that did not come to fruition. We were all amazed and very appreciative of that. And it ran very smoothly. All stakeholders groups across the board from all three districts shared the value of the teacher induction program. Leadership, including the superintendent specifically, who I spoke with, shared how this teacher induction program, the investment and the time they put into it is so well worth it, because what they get back is a strong workforce, and they're able to retain that workforce. And he found that even 100 miles away, when he was on recruitment events, people he was talking to potentially come to work at that district knew about that teacher induction program. So it has a reputation far and wide. That was true also with the other two districts. They all specifically spoke how this program supports their recruitment efforts, as well as their retention efforts. When we spoke to mentors as a stakeholder group, they shared how well-trained they are, that Kelly and the team make sure that they're responsive to their needs. They're trained at the onset. They're trained on an ongoing basis at monthly meetings. And the topics of that training is generated by their individual needs, by what they're showing on their own mini little induction learning plan, is designing what the professional learning is. Specifically, because of the funding and the increased staffing, they have a good group of new mentors, and those new mentors shared how not only were they trained, but they also have their own mini network with a very experienced mentor supporting them individually. So what really came across is how all of their individual needs were being met. Most importantly, when we talked to the candidates, all across all three districts, all three levels, elementary to high school, shared how the teacher induction program is truly supporting them as they learn as new educators. One even asked why she couldn't keep participating for a third year. So that's how appreciative they were of what was going on. They felt that what they were doing was meaningful. They felt that their mentor truly supported them individually. One specifically shared that there were some events going on in their life and how that mentor supported them in working through it and staying focused on their job, but acknowledging that there were other aspects going on. So truly it is an individualized program. The candidates also shared how they were collecting data around the impact of their new learning and how that improves student learning. So there were definite specifics that showing that the efforts that the teacher induction program was putting in with mentor support and the professional learning was directly impacting student learning. We spoke with advisory board members who shared specific examples of how the data was being collected from stakeholders, conversations were being had around that data, and how that information was being used to continuously improve the program. Truly consistently across interviews with all stakeholders, it showed that the teacher induction program for the Palo Alto Consortium is making a difference in the strength of their new teachers. It ultimately is improving student learning as well as retention of teachers in this career. Based upon this, the team found that all preconditions, common standards, and program standards had been fully met, and the team unanimously determined that the team recommended full accreditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Belshi. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit.
Thank you. I'm Kelly Bickle. I am the Professional Learning Director for the Palo Alto School District and the Induction Consortium Director as well. And I wanted to thank the visiting committee not only for a smooth visit, but for their thoughtful and thorough review of our program, for asking thought-provoking questions and just really being committed to this process. I also want to thank Hart for his guidance across the year. He was responsive, knowledgeable, and has a good sense of humor, which always helps. And then finally, just a comment on the process. Our stakeholders engaged in this accreditation cycle as truly a self-study, and our program is definitely stronger for having gone through that process. And one of the things that I noticed was the high level of engagement from all of our stakeholders. And I'm really happy to see the deep level of care and to see that that is reflected in the report. So thanks again to the team for capturing that, because I do think that is one of the key pieces that makes our program so successful with our teachers, mentors, and everybody who cares about it.
Thank you, Ms. Bickle. At this time, does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
No comments, Marty.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Member Larson.
I just wanted to commend the program on the examples of program modifications that they described in the report, that were described in the report, that have taken place over the last 2 years. This shows a process of continuous improvement. And so I was excited to see that ongoing work is going on in the program, that you're not just status quo, you're continually looking at things that need to be updated, improved, addressed, and so on, and that there was quite a list there of things that you've done. So I encourage you to continue that process of continuous improvement, and I commend you for it.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I would echo those comments and also add that I appreciated the recognition that providing good support to new teachers requires support itself, and this idea of pulling in new mentors and yet supporting them with experienced people and maintaining that kind of continuum of expertise so that it isn't a hard stop when someone retires and you replace them and there's no handover. I think that's something that could be shared with other programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee members? I do want to, I know I did not give Ms. Ofek a chance to add any comments. Did you wish to do that?
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to extend my gratitude as well to the team and Hart and Ricky, the leads who have been supporting us throughout this entire process. And of course to Kelly Bickle, who manages all of the moving parts of a consortium with multiple districts and lots of different pieces moving around, and really taking that this opportunity to reflect on our entire program and use it as a growth experience ourselves. So a self-study of ourselves as well. So just, lots of gratitude to the whole group of folks who supported us through this entire journey and the continuous improvement model that we have in place. So.
Thank you. This is an action item. Do I have a motion from a committee member? Member Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, I move that we accept the recommendation of accreditation for Palo Alto Unified.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Not sure who that was, that member Balatayo?
No, it was Larson.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we'll now do a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the names?
Cynthia Almos.
Aye.
Jamaline Balatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Krishna.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion carries. Just to like to say congratulations to Palo Alto Unified and to the whole team. At this time, we'd like to just thank Ms. Bickle, Ms. Belshi, Ms. Ofek, Mr. Boyd for your work and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next is item 16 from quarter 3 report from Pleasanton Unified School District. Do we have the team with us, Ms. Sullivan?
We do, all except for one person, and as long as that's okay with the institution. And so I did bring them into the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Kimberly. Is it okay to move forward without Laura?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So item 16 is a discussion of the quarter 3 report from Pleasanton Unified School District. Consultant Poonam Bedi will present this item. She is joined by institutional representatives Kim Ortiz, Director of Human Resources, Mike Williams, Senior Director of Human Resources, and I think we do not have Julie with us. Is that correct?
We do have Julie.
Julie's here. Julie.
Okay,
Julie.
sorry.
We just don't have Laura. Yeah.
Okay, Julie Twisselman, Coordinator for Human Resources, Laura Stang, Pleasanton New Teacher Project Coach, and I'm sorry, we do not have Laura. So we have Kim Calton and Sarah Landis, coaches. And does anyone need to recuse themselves from this item? Okay, Ms. Beatty, will you please begin?
Yes. Good morning, committee members. Item 16 presents the Pleasanton Unified School District's third quarterly report. The first link on the first page of the item is to Pleasanton's quarterly reports webpage, where the third quarterly report and previous reports are housed. And the second link on that first page is to the site visit team's accreditation report, as was presented to the COA last June. And then if you scroll down across pages 1 to 2 of this item are the 10 stipulations that Pleasanton is required to address through these quarterly reports and through the upcoming revisit. The remainder of this report contains the actions that are taken by Pleasanton to address the stipulations since December, when the second quarterly report was submitted. And as a little correction, these are actions that were taken as of December 2021, not 2022. So apologies for that typo at the top of page 3, but these are actions since December of 2021. So just a quick overview of some of these actions that have been taken. One of them is the third meeting of the advisory team that occurred last month, and that is noted under stipulation 1, action 1. At this meeting, there was a mid-year candidate survey data that was reviewed, and the next meeting is scheduled for May. So induction candidates will be participating in the Colloquium event at that point, and the advisory team will be a part of that process. Another highlight also noted under stipulation 1 is, it's under stipulation 1, action 3. It's the hiring of an education specialist induction coach, which occurred very recently. And then the final highlight is all the way at the end of the item under stipulation 10. We are on our way to the revisit, which is scheduled for the end of April. So the next report that the COA will be receiving will be the revisit report, which will be presented to the COA at its June meeting. And with that, I would actually like to turn this part of the presentation over to Kim and the Pleasanton team just to briefly talk about the top 3 highlights they want to address in this quarterly 3 report.
Thank you. Well, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to share highlights from the quarter 3 report. In Pleasanton, as we've shared previously, we value the continuous improvement model, as it's been a focus for the last 20 years that we've been engaged in this very important work. We're fortunate to have a board of trustees and an executive cabinet that prioritizes new teacher induction, as evidenced by 86% retention rate. And just a reminder, our goal, in aligned with the standards, are to really accelerate the development of our new teachers sooner in their careers by providing just-in-time support while maintaining that long-term vision for growth and development. So the 3 areas I'd like to highlight really encompass stipulations 1 through 7, as they're all very tightly connected. So as part of the continuous improvement process, the PNTP advisory team, we've analyzed 2 formal data sources so far. The completer survey data in November, where we found that we outperformed the state in all areas, which we were really proud of, especially in light of a pandemic. The candidate survey data was analyzed in February, and we will be then triangulating the data in May when we collect authentic candidate reflections during the colloquium sharing on May 12th. And as a result of the work of the advisory team and the insights, we're proud to announce that we, as Poonam, Ms. Betty noted, we've hired a full-time release education specialist induction coach for the 22-23 school year. And we'll begin the transition this month on March 30th at our Foundations and Coaching workshop, where substitutes will be provided for our new coach, as well as our new, not our new, but our special ed mentors will be also in attendance. And furthermore, we'll have a shadowing opportunity for this new induction coach to engage in before the start of the school year. So to the point when I logged on, when Palo Alto was just talking, this notion of having that side-by-side coach of the coach before, retirements and such. So with that, really quickly, I just want to shout out a heartfelt thank you to Kim Calton and Laura Stang, our PNTP induction coaches, who have worked tirelessly to coordinate the support of the new induction coach and our special ed mentors. Also, we are excited to announce that last week we launched our new PNTP special ed website. That's now available to all teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators. And a great big thank you to Sarah Landis, our PNTP induction coach, who spearheaded the project in collaboration with the special education department, where the site is a one-stop shop of resources around case management support, instructional practices, forms, and guidance documents. So we're excited that those 2 action items that we had planned for have come to fruition. We really do believe that a quality induction experience is essential for our new educators, and we really value and we know it's important to accelerate their development earlier in their careers, and figuring out ways to support given the teacher shortage. We have to retain them. So we believe that we have met all of the stipulations through the actions that have been taken over, the last 8 months, 9 months. So again, I want to thank you. I want to thank Mike Williams, our Senior Director of Human Resources, who has just been an advocate and a support. Julie Twisselman on the call, who's just been working tirelessly as well to make sure that everyone is partnered. And then to our induction coach team, who have taken on additional projects to strengthen support for our newest educators.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. We appreciate that. Any other comments from the Pleasanton Unified School District team?
I would like to share something quickly, if you don't mind. I wanted to emphasize the great work that I believe we are doing to support our new staff here in Pleasanton. We truly believe that, similar to how we are prioritizing our teachers who work with our kids with the most needs, our special education students, we do believe the same philosophy of supporting our teachers with the most needs, which are our brand new teachers. So the work that's been done by the Pleasanton New Teacher Project to make sure those staff members are supported, the collaboration with our veterans to make sure that the experience for our students is seamless, whether you have a new teacher or a veteran teacher, is so important. And I hope that when we have our visit come soon, that there will be no question that we are successfully implementing a support system for our new teachers. So I just want to thank everyone on the call for your support as we go down this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any other comments from the institution? Okay, at this time, are there any comments from members of the public on this item?
No comments.
Okay, how about any questions from or comments from committee members? Member Frawley, Co-Chair Frawley.
Thank you, Member Martinez. Just a quick comment of thanking the work of the staff and the detailed report. There's a lot of information provided here, and it's encouraging to see so much work has been done within this report by the institution. So I would just like to offer my congratulations on the amount of work that has been done and the information that's so clearly presented for us to enable us to sort through the information and have a good understanding of the progress that's being made. So thank you for that. Right. Thank you, Co-Chair Martinez.
Okay, Member Morrison.
I would just like to echo that. That was what I was going to say. And just the way the stipulations have been addressed and the information presented with the hyperlinks, such a thorough report. I just want to commend everybody who was involved in that. Thank you.
Member Tchaikovsky.
Well, I guess that's three of us. I having been responsible for a program like this myself, I would say that you've really put together a lot of evidence that tells the story of your program and frankly promotes it. So hopefully this report is useful as you continue to go out and garner and reinforce support for your program and new teachers. I mean, you must have said it like 8 times that we've got to retain people, that this is imperative. We've got to accelerate their growth. So this report here is a super useful tool to advance that claim to all of the various stakeholders that you need to, be wind in your sails. And I was actually going to say, hey, how about, accepting the report, but like, changing the status, but you have a visit coming up. So I guess I'll just sit on it until after that occurs. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about any other comments from committee members?
I'd like to reiterate those supportive comments and in particular, the commitment to continuous improvement that stands out in the actions of the staff and the writing of the report. It's fantastic. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Taylor. Okay, this is an information action item. However, action is not required. The COA could vote to accept the report. Member Frawley?
Yeah, though it's not an action item necessarily, I would recommend that we do, considering the amount of work that has been put into this, as acknowledgement for the progress that's being made. So I would like to move that we accept the 7th year report from Pleasanton Unified School District.
How about a second? Member Forbes. Okay, we'll now do a roll call vote. Please, all those in favor say aye, opposed say no. Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the names?
Cynthia Alms.
Aye.
Jomeline Bulatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Morrison.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye. I think it's the 3rd quarterly report, and the statement from Co-Chair Fraley may have said 7th year report. So just to clarify for the minutes.
Thank you, Member Taylor. So it is the 3rd quarter report. And Member Forbes, you still second that with the revision? Okay. Is there any need to do another roll call?
I don't think so.
This is an information item.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so the motion carries then, and I just again want to echo the committee's sentiments of congratulations and thank you to everyone all of our the consultants, the team, and also especially to the district representatives. Thank you for your hard work and congratulations.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Okay, next is item 17, and it looks like we have the team here ready. Item 17 is a discussion of the 1st quarterly report from Palos, Verdes, Peninsula Unified School District Consultant Dr. Michelle Williams-George will introduce this item. She is joined by institutional representatives Samantha Liddell, Program Leader, and Kelly Keller, Executive Director of Human Resources. Does anyone need to recuse themselves at this time? Okay, Dr. Williams-George, will you begin, please?
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. So this agenda item includes the first quarterly report submitted by Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District addressing stipulations resulting from their December 2021 site visit. Following its finding of accreditation with major stipulations at the February 2022 meeting, the Committee on Accreditation directed Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District to provide updates to staff at quarterly intervals, culminating in a site revisit. These quarterly reports will document progress toward addressing the stipulations identified in that February 2022 accreditation report, and the revisit has been scheduled for December 6th and 7th of 2022. Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District offers 2 educator preparation programs, a clear administrative services credential, which the district identifies as PV Lead, and a teacher induction program for which it is the lead district for the South Bay Teacher Induction Consortium. In the few weeks between the December 2021 site visit and the February 2022 Committee on Accreditation meeting, Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District's program staff and administration met to discuss and begin addressing the stipulations. And based on that work, this report contains both the actions which have already been taken and those which are planned for the future in order to address each of the stipulations. The table provided in the agenda item on pages 4 through 11 is a summary of those actions. The full report can be found on the PVP USC website, which is linked in the agenda item. It is staff's recommendation that the Committee on Accreditation accept this report from Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District, but take no further action at this time as the program continues to address stipulations placed upon it by the Committee on Accreditation. Staff will continue to work with the institution to provide assistance and review the remainder of the quarterly reports from the institution.
Thank you, Dr. Williams-George. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the report.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. I want to assure you that we take this process very seriously. And as a result, we have dug in and started working on collaborating with our partners. We currently have been working with our advisory committee to re-educate them on their role and also to get their assistance in working on the diversity and piece. And our meetings are continuing so that we can share. We've also shared data, and as a result of that data, we have been sharing that data not only with advisory committee members, but also with mentors and with CASC coaches and candidates. And as a result of some of that sharing, we are developing processes for evaluating coaches and evaluating mentors and putting systems in place so that if I were to leave the program, other people could step in and take over. Some of those goals include, for example, for the teacher induction program, a goal is to engage school leaders, so site administrators more, involve them in the process more of recruiting mentors. Same thing for the CASC program. We're hoping to engage, kind of create a bench, if you will, of mentors and coaches so that they are at the ready when we need them to step in to coach our new teachers and administrators. We're also trying to build collaborative relationships with the institutions where these new employees live and work, if you will, where they work. So in doing that, trying to see what their initiatives are so that we can support and work together with them. One of the things that we're doing, I've been meeting with the superintendents in the consortium and I'm attending board meetings for individual districts to share the findings and also to share some of our successes and to share how we can partner together. So to make the member districts aware of what actually is involved in the induction programs.
Thank you. And I would just want to thank your time. Obviously, the committee is busy today. I saw your agenda, but I want to reiterate both what Ms. Liddell and Dr. Williams-George shared. The delta between the visit in December and this first quarterly report is indeed very short. As you know, we are a consortium, and so our district partners were busy battling another COVID round with Omicron just following your visit and before we could report back to you. And we were so thrilled and thankful for their efforts and their attention and how much work they dedicated to this, in addition to juggling contact tracing and all of that. So we were thrilled to provide you with a lot of information in this first quarterly report and worked with Dr. Williams-George when she said, calm that one down, sweethearts. We're going to have that on quarter 2. So our 11-page thrilling braggadocious sheet has been reduced a little bit to you so that we can really anchor those findings before we see you again. But we really are proud of our partners, and I'm very, very proud of my partner, Ms. Liddell, and her work, and I'm very appreciative to the committee and Dr. Williams-George.
Thank you, Ms. Keller and Ms. Liddell, and we appreciate all the work and the enthusiasm for making those changes across your consortium. Right now, does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay. How about questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an information action item. However, action is not required. We could vote to accept the report. Do I see any motions, or will we continue with accepting? Member Balatayo?
I move that we accept the report for Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District.
Okay, do I have a second? Member Amos? I'm sorry, Member Kreisha? A second, and can we do a roll call? All those in favor say aye, opposed say no. Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the vote?
Cynthia Amos.
Aye.
Jamaline Balatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Kresha.
Aye.
Katrina Chakowski.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Williams-George, to Ms. Liddell, Ms. Keller, and everyone else involved. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
You all have a good day.
Okay, I know we're really ahead of time now for our next item with Sanger Unified School District. And I'm sure we do not have the team with us yet. Is that correct?
We don't have the team lead with us yet, but she did indicate she could join a little bit early. So honestly, I imagine she's probably going to pop up in about a minute or two.
Okay, why don't we then go? Why don't we just take like a 3-minute stretch break until 11:17 and come back?
Okay.
And then we'll continue.
Thank you, Karen and Dennis. We'll be right back.
Of course, of course.
It is 11:17. If you're back, could you turn on your video?
We have everyone here now.
Great. And I want to make sure, do we still have a quorum with us right now based on video? Looks like we do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Item 18 is the report of the accreditation team to Sanger Unified School District. Consultant Gay Roby will present this item. She is joined by team lead Amy Betancourt and institutional representatives Karen Rock, induction coordinator, and Dennis Weichman, assistant superintendent of HR. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Okay, Ms. Roby, will you begin, please?
I certainly will. And first, mea culpa, I apologize to Karen Costa-Smith. Karen Rock is joining me in another upcoming site visit, but for today at Sanger, it is Karen Costa-Smith, so I apologize, Karen. The Sanger Unified School District's site visit occurred just recently, February the 28th to March the 1st. It was once again a virtual visit, and the site visit consisted of 3 team members. They interviewed 94 stakeholders. This is usually a smaller program with an average of 25 candidates, but this year they have seen significant growth, and this year have 88 candidates that they are serving in their teacher induction program. The visit was conducted according to all of the established protocols. There were no unusual circumstances, and I will now introduce Amy Betancourt, the team lead, to present the report. Amy?
Thanks, Gay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name, as Gay said, is Amy Betancourt, and I had the privilege of serving as the team lead for the Sanger Unified School District Teacher Induction Program Review that, as Gay said, was conducted on February 28th and March 1st. I would first like to thank my team members, Maria Elena Diaz and Christina Petrosoni, and of course, our CTC consultant, Gay Roby, for their hard work and contributions to the process. I would also like to thank and commend Karen Costa-Smith, the induction coordinator, as well as Sanger Unified in total for welcoming our team and being such incredible hosts and participants. Our visit opened with program leadership, Karen Costa-Smith, and Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, Dr. Dennis Weichman, and Superintendent Adelia Jones, welcoming the team and introducing the district through a video that walked us through their core programs and schools and gave us a glimpse into all that Sanger Unified offers students, families, and teachers. From that opening session, the team immersed themselves in interviews with key stakeholders. From our extensive review of program documents and through the interview process, the team concluded many things. The Sanger Unified School District has a robust mentoring process in place that ensures that teachers new to the profession have a clear pathway to earning a clear credential. The Human Resources Department and the induction program work closely together to ensure teachers are properly identified and provided access to the induction program upon hiring. Both candidates and mentors in the induction program are provided relevant and meaningful professional development opportunities that align with the candidates' IOPs and provide the necessary supports for the mentors to be highly successful in their roles. The Induction Advisory Board is actively involved in the continual improvement process for the program and provides feedback and direction to program leadership. Sanger's induction program measures impact through formal evaluation processes, and recruitment and retention efforts of a diverse teaching workforce was both impressive and impactful. The level of collaboration and communication, lovingly known as we came to know the Sanger way, across all departments in their district was supportive of the teacher induction program and was not only evident, but celebrated by all those we interviewed. The teacher induction program ensures their candidates not only understand their motto that every student, every day, no matter what it takes, is the Sanger approach to providing high quality instruction to all students, but to also make sure their candidates have the necessary supports, training, and experiences to make that statement actionable in all of their classrooms. Finally, every single group, every single person we interviewed were highly positive and spoke with loving care and endearment around the induction program. Basically, it truly represents pure respect by anybody who has touch points with their induction program. Sanger Unified's teacher induction program has met all standards and as a result has received the recommendation of full accreditation. And of course, at this time, I'd like to welcome any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Ms. Betancourt. We appreciate that. Before we move on to questions, does any member of the institution, any members from the institution wish to comment about the visit? We remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, not that you would want to, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit.
Yes, I would like to thank the team. So it's anytime you're kind of feel like you're going through this process and you're trying to do the best you can for your teachers and so that they're making an impact on student learning. It was refreshing to have a second set of eyes, well, several set of eyes, come in and take a look at our program and give us positive feedback, but also just, no program's perfect. And they pointed out several things that just little minor things, but it was very insightful to have their feedback, and the team worked so hard. And I know that they spent a lot of time interviewing and writing reports, and it was a very positive experience for us.
Thank you,
Dr. Wickman, do you want to add?
Yeah, just kind of echoing that, and thank you to the accreditation team, the amount of work that goes into that. And truly, this is the first time I've been through this part of it. Definitely a thorough process. So super excited with the recommendations and believe that reflects, a lot of effort into what we do. And my also for Karen Costa-Smith, just a phenomenal administrator of the program. And for everybody on our team, we thank you. And glad that we had you guys.
Thank you. At this time, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item?
No comments, Marty.
Thank you. Questions or comments from committee members? Member Forbes.
Well, first off, I'd really like to thank the team for the excellent and well-written report, the institution for your comments today, and all the wonderful work that's going on with teachers in your district. I just had to observe that, your program is like tripled in size, more than that in the last year. And so I just was kind of curious if you could give us any insights into the secret sauce of how you were able to maintain this excellent support in light of increasing sizes, because we hope that will continue, right? And in light of your residency grant, it might, get even bigger. So do you have anything you can share with us about how you were able to scale up in that way?
Lots of hard work.
Well, yeah.
Our program is supported by amazing administrators that no matter how many new teachers they have, they reach out and they make sure that those new teachers are supported and that they're getting all the resources that they need, and including people to support them. We put new teachers on PLCs that are very supportive, and the mentors are just amazing. They bend over backwards to help their new teachers and to give them that just-in-time mentoring. So it's, we have the system in place to take them on and support them, but it comes down to our people. We just have amazing people in this district, and they all want our new teachers to be successful.
Yeah, and just echoing that, and Karen touched on it, the foundational system that has been put in place and the success of that allows that to scale up. And it's a lot of hard work, but that foundation's there, so that scale up becomes possible.
Well, if I can just respond then, thank you for that, because it really highlights to me that while the mentor relationship is at the heart of induction, especially in the current standards, it really does take a whole village or a whole district, and particularly highlighting the importance of the site administrators. That really is helpful. Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you, Member Forbes. Any other committee members wish to comment or ask questions? Okay, seeing none, this is an action item. Do I have a motion from a committee member? Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation for accreditation for Sanger Unified School District.
Okay, do I have a second? Member Tchaikovsky? And Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll? Those in favor say aye, opposed say no.
Cynthia Amos.
Aye.
Jomaline Valatayo.
Aye.
Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Katrina Tchaikovsky.
Aye.
Cheryl Forbes.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Gerard Morrison.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This time I just would like to say congratulations and thank you to the Sanger team, Ms. Costa-Smith and Mr. Weichman. Congratulations. And to Ms. Betancourt, Ms. Roby, thank you for your support. Okay, this moves us to item number 19, which is a discussion of the possible accreditation handbook changes, selected chapters, which I believe is chapter 5 today. And Ms. Administrator Cheryl Hickey will present this item. Go ahead.
Sure. All right. So this is, you might remember from the last meeting that you reviewed chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. And so we're bringing you today chapter 15, which seems random, I know, but we want to kind of chip away at this at each meeting and hopefully you have reviewed all of the handbook chapters by the time we get to the June meeting. So at the next one, hopefully we'll have at least 3 or 4 or 5 more chapters for you to look at, and then adopt all of the chapters and all of the changes at the June meeting. So that's our hope. I'm really surprised that the handbook chapters that were adopted are mostly from 2016. That just blows me away in terms of how long it's been, because it feels like just yesterday. But anyhow, we have made a number of procedural changes in that time frame. So we need to update the handbook. We've also been encouraged to put the handbook into, or at least parts of the handbook into regulations. So that's another reason for reviewing your handbook. So today we're looking at chapter 15, and it's specifically on the revisit. And I just want to walk through some of the thinking. What we were hoping to do is if you have any suggested additional edits or don't like an edit that we have proposed, that you could share them today. Of course, you could always share them afterwards with me if you wanted to send me some additional information, because it's coming back to you again. As I said, in June, we'll have the whole package. So the big issue with chapter 15 at the very beginning, and I hate looking at these little, what do they call those? The little pop outs. I know that's difficult to read and I apologize, but I wanted you to see it and track changes. So there was a whole big section at the introduction that talked about how you get to a revisit, and all of that information is in previous chapters. So I wanted to pull that out of here and just start with, the revisit itself, because the more language you put in here, the more somebody who may have an issue can delve into it and find little inconsistencies here and there. So really important to streamline the language. So I pulled a lot of this language out. It shows you what is proposed to be deleted, and really just focused on the revisit itself. I think one of the important things is that for a revisit to happen, it has to be explicit in the stipulations that there will be a revisit. And so that I've addressed that at the beginning here, where the underlined portion of the first sentence, the revisit team will review the new information and evidence related to actions taken by the institution and determine if the stipulations and the associated standards can now be determined to be addressed. If the revisit team determines that the stipulations have been addressed, I would recommend removal of those stipulations. So we just talk a little bit more about, what happens at a revisit, that you're looking specifically at the stipulations, or the team is looking specifically at the stipulations. They're not opening the door to a whole bunch of other things. It's really about the stipulations. And we've added, and the initial accreditation site visit must specifically include a recommendation for a revisit that is acted upon by the COA. So the team, the accreditation site visit team, would put that in the stipulations, and you would actually act on it, which is what we've been doing all along. So just wanted to make that part a little bit more clear. In the second paragraph, who participates in the revisit, wanted to make it clear that it could include additional reviewers besides the consultant and the team lead. It really depends on what those stipulations are and how many there are and across how many programs. Sometimes we can do it just with the team lead and the consultant. If it's a small program, and a small number of stipulations. With the larger institutions or larger programs with larger numbers, we really need people who are either experts in that area or have enough of them to be able to handle the numbers of stipulations. So it really is conditional on the stipulations. The one thing I wanted to do is at the bottom of that second paragraph, it says, if additional reviewers are used beyond the team lead, these individuals should be board of institutional review members trained whenever possible, because we have to leave ourselves some room. Occasionally, we cannot find a Board of Institutional Reviewer, and we have to use an additional person that we've asked that will know that particular area. We spend time updating that person, making sure that they're well qualified and well trained before they go on the revisit or the site visit as well. But occasionally, from time to time, we have knocked on every door we possibly can, and we might have to use somebody who is not an official BIR trained person. So I wanted to make sure that was there. We don't want somebody challenging us on language that doesn't give us that ability, because I keep thinking about, who would challenge us and how would that challenge. So we need to make sure that that we give ourselves enough leeway there.
Carol,
yes, please.
Just sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. I probably should stop after each section and see if you have comments. Thank you.
I just imagine being you. Oh my God.
I just get out of
go to
roll.
sleep. I would just have like paragraphs like scrolling through my brain at all times. Can you just by way of example, that sentence that you were just talking about, it says these individuals should be board of institutional review trained. That word should, isn't the word would, will, are required to be like, what informs your decision-making regarding what type of word to use there?
Sure. In that particular instance, so in 99.9% of the cases, they are BIR trained. It's who we go to first and foremost. That's our process. However, from time to time, there are programs that are small, and not programs that are small. There are low incidence credential areas. So school nurse, for example, we really don't have that many BIR trained school nurse reviewers. There aren't that many programs in the state, believe it or not, DHH programs, those kinds of programs where you really are talking about a handful of programs, and maybe you can't get any people that are BIR trained from there to do it, to do a revisit. It's on a date that they can't do it, or they're already doing something else, or they just aren't interested. So,
no. I can. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, I got that I understand why. I guess I was just thinking from the process of turning things into regulations and challenges, et cetera, all that kind of legalese business that we talked about the last meeting too.
Right.
The word should seems like it leaves a little bit of room for flexibility just in itself. It doesn't say will be. If it says will be, it's like 100%, right?
Exactly.
So this is like they should be BIR trained, period. Like, like that is how I would read that anyway. Is that an accurate?
That is absolutely accurate.
Shows that.
Yes. If we put the word would in there or will, then we are tying our own hands. And if somebody were to challenge and says, hey, the regulation says must or will or shall, then we are now at fault if we can't find that person. So we either have to cancel that visit or we have to do something else. So it's really out of necessity that we have to put the word should in there. Now that is a hard one because the Office of Administrative Law doesn't like that kind of language, but I'm balancing the need for a regulation if we have to put certain pieces of it with giving ourselves enough clarity and flexibility in the handbook. So that's a piece I'll have to struggle with when we write up for regs, whatever pieces of this we have to write up for regs. We haven't quite determined which chapters or which parts of it have to be totally regulated. There's some of this, I think, absolutely we don't need to. It's just guidance, that kind of thing. But some of it we will, and we have to figure that out.
And I mean, I like the word should, right? Mm-hmm. And I totally understand the challenge that you're going to be up against. So my question is just designed to try to help you in the end, get closer to that ultimate transition where necessary, as I'm looking at the whole thing.
Exactly. So, I guess what you're saying is that we could use would in there whenever possible, right?
Well, if it's something, I think if it's something that you predict, your Office of Administrative Law is going to expect to be a binary yes, no kind of thing, then it needs to be would. But
that's
the word is should.
That's an excellent point. Mm-hmm.
It communicates, interpretation, flexibility, and, the need to have things not always be binary.
Right? That's excellent because we had should without the additional whenever possible. So I think would with whenever possible actually works. And that would be, I think, more acceptable to the Office of Administrative Law. Should we have to put that language in regs?
This is
Thank you.
tricky. It's like the third dimension of policy is just the language that you use, or derivative even. Yeah, like math metaphor.
Absolutely. Regulations. I'm learning a lot about regulations right now. I've been in the state service for a very long time, but you know, when you have to write regs, you learn a lot about every comma, every and or. Nope, you can't do and or. Is it and or is it or? It's because it's not both.
Set theory. See, computational thinking. That's why we need to know how to do it.
Exactly. Thank you for that. That's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
All right. So where was I? We just talked about in that a little bit about logistics. I kind of just updated, added that, you know, we have a commission cost recovery fee policy, so they would have to pay it consistent with that. And that fee policy needs to be updated. And then just a little bit more about clarifying, you know, that if it's there's some preparation involved, and then the revisit if specified by COA action. So I really wanted to make sure that we got that language in there. So it's pretty straightforward, I think, the rest of it. It's a short chapter, but I'm happy to take any additions. And I would have had more, but we just sort of ran out of time. There hasn't been, you know, we had a meeting in February, so we will have a lot more for you at the May meeting. So any suggestions or changes? Great. And I haven't gotten any changes on the previous chapters. So just a reminder that if you have any on those, and that was chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9 at the last meeting. So great. So next time I'll bring you some additional ones. Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on this, Ms. Hickey, and everybody and the rest of the staff too. I know it's a big project, especially while you're doing it with multiple other things. So we appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item 20, public comment. Does any member of the public have anything it wishes to say? Please remember to use the raise hand icon, if you're joining via the toll-free number, press *9 on your phone to inform the meeting moderator that you would like to speak. The moderator will inform you when it is your turn to speak. Do we have any public comment?
No comments, Marty.
Okay. How about anything else from the committee? Member Bolotello, did I see your hand up? Okay. All right. Then having no further business, I adjourn the March 2022 meeting of the Committee on Accreditation. The next meeting of the committee will be May 5th and 6th, 2022. As a reminder, the May meeting will be held in person. And just like to say thank you to all the committee members, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you. I was thinking that there's many people who have never had an in-person meeting, and I was lucky enough to have a few before we went into the virtual mode. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody in May. And just before we close, just say a big thank you to all of the staff at the CTC and for your hard work. Every time we meet, I'm always impressed with all that you do and move forward. And just the efficiency that it happens with. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
See you in real life.
Thanks, everybody.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
You at the airport.
Bye. Thank you all.
Okay. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Appreciate it.